subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bad sent you.
Dennis Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. I want to welcome you all. My name is Dennis Spurling. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys subscribing to the Dennis Spurling broadcast. And as you see at the bottom there, injured in a car wreck, call me. I got a toll-free number for you all. It's easy to remember, 866-LAW-BIG. How about that? 866-LAW-BIG. But anyway, today we're going to talk about, well, let's start with the Haitians going home. And the United States Supreme Court is now the United States Supreme Court has now allowed the federal government under Donald Trump to move forward with ending temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians. That case is called Mullen v. Doe. And practically speaking, for Haitians, this means about 350,000 people who have been lawfully living and working in the United States under TPS are now exposed to losing that protection and being subject to removal. When I say removal, I mean ICE knocking at your front door, trucks pulling up, handcuffs, lots of people jumping out in a very aggressive manner. Now, before anybody gets emotional one way or the other, I want to take the time to explain TPS and what it actually is. TPS stands for Temporary Protected Status. If you guys can hear me clearly, type TPS. It's not citizenship. It's not a green card. It's not permanent residency. It doesn't give a person a guaranteed path to stay in the United States forever. It's a temporary humanitarian protection created by Congress for people who are having a rough time in their own countries, where the conditions are dangerous, where it's unstable, or just devastated by an earthquake or a hurricane, which is the case for Haiti. And the United States determines they should be sent back at that time. They got to go. And it could be based, it could be based on war, natural disaster, political collapse, extraordinary violence, or other temporary conditions that make return unsafe. Okay, so if they determine that they can't go back, they don't. If they determine that they can, they can. But it's all dependent on the president of the United States, and Congress has given him that power. Now, Haitians received TPS after that really big earthquake back in 2020, and the earthquake devastated the country. It destroyed homes, hospitals, bridges, roads, government buildings, and all the basic things that people need for modern society. So the United States allowed qualifying Haitians who were already here to remain temporarily. It even gave them authorization for work and a reason to avoid deportation while Haiti dealt with the disaster. Now, since then, Haiti's continued to face political instability, economic collapse. They have gang violence, displacement, just general breakdown in public safety. It's like Gotham over there, right? And that's why TPS for Haitians keeps getting extended over the years. It's just so bad, nobody wants to send them back. But here's the important part. These people haven't been sitting around doing nothing. All right, you have a lot of industrious Haitians. They've been here for years. And since that short time period, they've been busy. They've been working for, well, actually over a decade. They pay taxes. They started families. They have children here. They've rented homes. They've rented apartments. They've joined churches. They worked in hospitals and nursing homes, hotels, service jobs, transportation, and they really become an integral part of local economies. Again, this isn't an emotional argument. That's just the basic reality of what happens when people live somewhere lawfully for 10 to 12, 14, 15 years, especially a place as industrious and, uh, you know, so many opportunities, with so many opportunities. And the Haitians aren't the only group affected. The Venezuelans, they've also lost TPS protections, and Venezuelans separate TPS designations, including the 2021 designation and the 2023 designation. The 2023 Venezuela TPS designation was terminated, and the Supreme Court allowed termination to take place immediately. So that means about 600, along with the 350,000 um, Haitians, you also have about 600,000 Venezuelans who are going to be sent home. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands, almost 1 million people. Okay. But what I want to focus on first is the Haitians piece, because this raises a very specific question for Black America. Now, surprisingly, there hasn't been very much visible Black American support. Okay. You would think that when more than 350,000 Black people and from Haiti, we're talking about placed in a position where they are going to be sent home to one of the most unstable countries in the Western Hemisphere, Black Americans would come out loudly and say, no, don't send these Black people home. Traditionally, Black Americans have viewed political issues through a race first lens. And sometimes that gets us in trouble. Okay. Now, not always, not every situation, but historically, when Black people were being targeted and mistreated and excluded and deported and discriminated against or abused, Black Americans generally saw the Blackness first, even when we dealt with the issues related to South Africa during apartheid. I remember those things. Our Black National Congress came to the aid, and we helped support apartheid, restrictions and apartheid sanctions. But, things change. And in this particular situation, Black Americans have started to delineate. And in fact, many Black Americans no longer even use the term African American the way we used to in the past. They've moved on away from that label because it can be confusing in a modern America where there are large numbers of actual African immigrants, both first generation and second, along with Caribbean immigrants and their children living here. Many now use the term foundational Black American. Somebody type FBA in the chat room, okay? FBA in the chat room, it stands for Foundational Black American. And it's not just as a label, but as a political and historical distinction. What FBAs are saying is we're not just part of some broad, interchangeable Black immigrant category. We're the descendants of Black people who were enslaved in the United States, built this country, survived Jim Crow, fought through segregation, and created the civil rights infrastructure that others later benefit from. And that distinction matters because the Black population in America isn't what people used to think it was. A growing share of what people casually call Black America is actually African and Caribbean by origin, especially if you count both first generation immigrants and second generation immigrant children of immigrants. Now, Pew Research has reported that Black immigrants made up more than 11% of the Black population by 2024. That's a whole lot. And when you include the US born children of those Black immigrants, that number moves closer to about 1/5 or 20%. And in some discussions is close to 25% or 1/4 of the broader Black population in the United States is either immigrants, means they just got here or got here as adults, weren't born here, and their children. And that means when people say Black Americans, they may be talking about several different populations and with different histories, different political interests, different immigration stories, and different relationships to the United States. So the question becomes this: why hasn't there been a loud, organized foundational Black American or Black American outcry for Haitians losing TPS? Where are the traditional Black organizations? Where are the fraternities and the Black sororities? Where are the civil rights organizations? Where are the Black churches? Where are the Black political leaders? Where are the Black institutions that historically spoken loudly when Black people were being mistreated by government power? Now, to be clear, I'm not saying nobody has said anything. I'm not saying every Black organization has been completely silent. But compared to the size of what's happening, more than 350,000 Black people, Haitians potentially losing protection, that response from traditional Black America has been surprisingly muted. I just want you to think about it. Recently, a young man was tried and convicted and is going to prison. That's one Black boy out of Collin County, Texas. Think about George Floyd. We rioted in March, not necessarily me, but people rioted in March for George Floyd. That was one Black man. And now you have 350,000 Haitians, Black people, who are about to be rounded up and sent home. And the response from traditional Black America has been nothing. It hasn't looked like a mass movement. It hadn't looked like a national Black political emergency. It hadn't looked like something Black America has decided to make on its own fight. So does that mean Black Americans have become cold-blooded? Or is this indifference? Or is there a source of this indifference? And see, that's the real conversation, because see, this may not simply be about Haitians. This may be about a deeper shift inside of Black America. It may be about Black Americans no longer seeing every Black immigrant issue automatically as our issue. It may be about resentment. It may be about political fatigue. It may be about feeling that Black Americans are always asked to show up for everybody else while nobody shows up specifically for us. It may be about this rise of foundational Black American identity, and it may be about the collapse of the old, we're all Black, so we're all the same political framework. And that's where we're going to discuss. Now, I have some videos I'd like to share with you all, and I'll do my commentary. Again, you guys don't owe me anything. As I always say, man, I appreciate you being here. Only thing I would like for you all to do, if you do learn something, I should earn something. But more importantly, I need you all to help me get to 200,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and take the opportunity to subscribe now. And let's go ahead and look at some video footage. Somebody type, shall we, in the chat room, shall we look at some video footage? Let's take a look at some blasts from the past. Maybe this might explain why there are so many Black Americans, or should I say so few Black Americans, willing to do anything about what we see. And of course, I don't have all the answers. I'm not here with the answers, okay? But I've seen things, okay? So
dirty Black American?
Wait, what?
Huh?
She just said that.
I did. A dirty Black American. I sure did. Because that's what y'all are.
I had a conversation with my boy literally right before I got here. And then when I got on my phone with my boy, he was like, nah. Think about it, Rich. There's plenty of Haitians who say vieux salope. In Creole, that means like dirty or bad. Black Americans.
When we have Frank here, we talk about the word akata. Like, it seems like everybody in the diaspora got specific terminology, detrimental or negative, degrading terminology
for Black Americans.
For Black Americans.
But I'm gonna tell you why.
I'm
gonna tell you why. What he said after. And he said, bro, Black Americans have no discipline.
I kind of appreciate her saying that, because these are conversations that are happening in the background. It's only because we have social media now that a lot of these conversations are coming to the forefront. These are conversations that they be having behind closed doors all the time, and maybe they get too comfortable, and then it slips up when you don't think it's that serious.
Okay, well, that was a blast from the past. So this was a very popular video, I think 3-4 months ago, and it made its rounds on YouTube, and it helped cement a feeling that Haitians kind of don't see themselves as Black Americans, and they see themselves as a distinct group. I'll show you some more of the videos so you guys can see other people commenting on it.
I'm Haitian.
There you go.
Why? Where you from? What's your background? You American? Dirty black American. Here we go. Huh? What?
Wait, what'd you say?
American? Black American?
Now,
No. Hold on.
again, I always promise that I'm going to let the videos play. I know I say that, but I can't help myself. Let me point out the obvious thing. If you are a visitor to this country, if you are the child of immigrants to this country, if you're an immigrant yourself, I would suggest that the last thing you do is take a position that is insulting towards a group of people who are indigenous or nationally or have heritage in that country. It doesn't matter what you think, because at the end of the day, their roots are deeper than yours. And on top of that, that's their country. I don't think that any American, especially any Black American, should go to Haiti and say anything derogatory about Haiti, its people, or its country. I would say the same thing about Jamaica. Don't go to Jamaica insulting Jamaicans. Don't go to Canada insulting Canadians. If you are in Timbuktu, don't say bad things about the people who are there. Because when you do that, all you're doing is creating animosity, and you're not being a good guest. Okay. So again, I'm gonna just go ahead and let this continue playing. Let's
Hold on. You said dirty black American.
You heard that? You just asked me what I said. I did.
Why you said that?
Because that's what y'all are. Dirty black American.
Double down.
She just said that? I did. A dirty black American. I sure did. Because that's what y'all are.
Just chill out on that dirty black American comment.
I mean, just think about it. This lady's on a social media and proudly being recorded insulting an entire group of people who are heritage Americans, i.e. foundational Black Americans. How far did she think this would take her? I mean, does this curry any favor? If you are, let's say you're a Japanese person and you have a person who is from Indonesia who comes to Japan and says dirty Japanese, that's not going to curry any favor with the populace. Same thing if you have a person from, I don't know, let's say Yugoslavia, and they go to Moscow and start saying dirty Russian people. I don't think that's just a wise thing to do. Maybe it's me, okay? But I think common courtesy would say, if you don't have anything good to say, best not say anything at all, in my humble opinion. I'm just pointing that out. I don't think that that's too far-fetched. That's some stuff we learn as children. But especially don't say it in their country and disrespecting them when you distinguish yourself from the group of people. But we'll continue listening to some commentary.
I'm sorry. See? You really took offense to that.
Yeah, they swear we start.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
They swear we started this.
Why you said that?
Yeah.
I'm saying, why would you even fix your lips and say that, though? I'm confused.
Because that's just my experience. Like,
But it's us though. See, now that Haitian with the D.
Now, shout out to this young lady right here. She's a very popular commentator on TikTok. I believe she's in the New York area. So we'll let her run for a minute. And
Bull nose got up there and said dirty Black Americans. That's just what y'all are. First of all, you're sitting in America looking like a Black American, talking like a Black American, or like Sadiddy acting like you're better than somebody. And when we say stuff back, then y'all say we're xenophobic. When we simply just started matching energy, it's a problem. They've literally been popping it about us like.
I really like that lingo from New York. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you know, I'm just gonna point it out. I like to listen to New York people. It's just very interesting when they really get going. But we'll let this lady finish speaking. But she brings up a good point. Oftentimes when you retort, you're referred to as xenophobic. You know, just think about that. You respond to them calling you a dirty Black American. You're talking about my grandparents, my great-grandparents. I mean, where does it stop? Are you talking about the current Black Americans? Are you talking about Dr. Martin Luther King? You talking about Harriet Tubman? You just pooping on our whole heritage when you say stuff like that. I mean, you know, again, we should never go to other people's country. You should never go to someone else's country and be disrespectful. And again, the point of this is to try to show people why there isn't this upswell of Black Americans saying, oh my God, you can't deport 350,000 Black people. We don't want to see these children separated from their parents in handcuffs. You've basically ostracized what would have been your greatest ally, you know? And so that's what we see happening right now. Now I'm gonna let her play a little bit and then we're gonna move on to the next one.
In the same way, for decades, and we've never said anything to these people. I've seen multiple podcasts of these people getting up here saying, like, disparaging us, talking down on us, just talking shit, really popping it. And
Family friendly.
I gotta give a disclaimer because I know Haitian people that I love. People be getting offended because I choose to use my voice and my platform to shine a light on this, because I feel like we need to know who is who. We need to stop blindly supporting these people, patronizing their businesses, turning them up, because like a lot of these Caribbeans, not all, but some of them, they look, act, talk, walk just like us, and they be promoting stuff to us, and we really do support them under the guise of black-owned business and black-owned this and that, just like the Jamaican girl with the cookie wash.
All right,
Talking mad crazy about us.
Dirty black Americans.
Here we go.
Typically, what Black Americans do is we will support other Black people just on the strength that they're Black. We support their businesses. We support their education. We don't mind them coming in, taking positions, scholarships, places in our schools that that our ancestors and we have set out for Black Americans who are FBA or Indigenous Black Americans, if you want to call that. And we don't mind sharing. Now, when we see things like this, and again, I don't think there's an issue with every Haitian. I don't think there's any issue with every immigrant, but these are the type of people that make it difficult for everybody. Okay. So again, and if she's accurately representing the internal beliefs, I mean, because she didn't get it from anywhere. I'm sure she heard that from somewhere. That's not something that she just made up on her own. That's something that the collective of Haitians apparently harbor towards Black Americans, and that's very unfortunate because see, it was exposed at probably the worst time. At this particular time, you probably need as many foundational Black American allies as you get. And now you don't have that. Now I'm going to let this other young lady, who's a Haitian lady, speak. And she's going to try to disavow this young lady, but we'll let this play. Let's let her play.
This girl coming up on somebody's podcast making a really disgusting remark about the Black American community. As a Haitian, we do not claim that girl. This is why I say we need to start taking the mics away from these podcast people, because not everybody deserves to be heard. That remark was ridiculously.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm much respect to this young lady. Everybody doesn't deserve to be heard, but if that's how you really feel, if there's a strong contingent of people of Haitian descent or Haitians who feel that Black Americans are dirty Black America, you may not voice it, but we can feel it. I mean, there's absolutely no way as human beings you can't detect people that don't like you or have animosity towards you. And I think the collective of foundational Black Americans will tell you, yeah, there has been feelings. We've seen little microaggressions and so on and so forth, but we ignore that. And again, I know there's a lot of Africans and people of Caribbean descent who will say stuff like, well, Black Americans teased us. Well, Black Americans tease Black Americans. Black Americans tease everybody. That's just pretty much what happens. I mean, that's just part of the culture. It's just something you have to deal with. Doesn't make you special. It just makes you part of the group. But I'm going to let her go ahead and finish. But no, you should say how you really feel. I think the problem is not taking the mic away. It's the fact that you said it anyway. Okay. Now, again, I'm sure all groups say stuff like that, but I interact with a lot of Brazilians, and I don't really hear them saying anything about Americans in general or Black Americans specifically. And many of them are Black or of African descent. So, it's not that we're trying to target this one group, but it's just the fact that they're so vocal with it. I mean, you get on a podcast that everybody sees with millions of views, and you refer to foundational Black Americans as dirty Black Americans. That's not cool. And no one would stand for that if Black Americans went to other people's countries and disrespected them like that. But I'm going to go ahead and let this lady finish.
Ignorant, especially during Black History Month. Like, why would you say that during Black History Month as a Black woman? I understand why the Black American community is so outraged by what she said. But I'm going to say this. Do not make that cause hate in your heart for people that have nothing to do with that. Haitians are not going around calling you guys dirty. We do not be talking about you guys. So all the xenophobic comments that I'm seeing about Haitians eating mud pies, eating cats and dogs, that doesn't make you any better than the girl that just went up on the podcast and said that. If anything, You're stooping to her level, and this is why we're constantly in a cycle of self-hate and just tearing each other down.
No. See, here's the thing. Again, what the young lady is trying to say is that, oh, well, we shouldn't respond by saying mean things back to people who say mean things to us. But the problem is, we're not xenophobic, or the person who responds is not xenophobic for responding to the insult. Again, this is our country. How would you feel if someone went to Haiti and began insulting Haitians or calling Haitians out their name? Again, just keep that in mind. This is our country. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Black immigrants from all over who come to the United States and don't fully understand that foundational Black Americans are as American, if not more American, than any other group of Americans here. Okay, I just want you to keep that in mind. Now, again, it's not just that, all right, because it's not just them calling us names. I want you to, and I'm sure we have some people from South Florida who are foundational Black American. Anytime you bring a new group in, there's always going to be issues, but this I found to be a very interesting segment. Take a listen to this and you digest it as you will.
Back in Florida, I didn't understand why when I came. Because I'm like, you Black just like me.
Exactly.
Why you fighting? But they didn't see us like that. You know what I'm saying?
They saw us foreign.
Yeah. Until later on, then Black in Florida started to be like, oh, okay, they understand.
Get more abrasive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But at first, we used to get into it with Blacks. Like, why are we fighting them? They look just like us. But they already have been programmed to fear us.
Exactly. So I don't think anybody is fearing Haitians. I think that Black people fight Black people. So it's not that you were Haitian. It was just the fact that you were there. And here's the thing you got to understand. Typically, when immigrants move to a new country, they live and they move into Black neighborhoods. They're living around poor Black people. Okay, they're living around poor Black people with poor Black people problems. They're not living around the upper echelon. The ghetto, somebody type the ghetto. All right, I'm getting warmed up. Okay, it's getting warmed up now. Okay, the ghetto is where a lot of these issues happen. Okay, a lot of Black Americans move out of the ghetto. Somebody type, we moving on up. Okay, we moving on up to the east side, and as we move on out, and you have Black immigrants who move in, they have to deal with ghetto problems. So it's not that those Black Americans were afraid of them. I'm absolutely certain they were not afraid of you. But the fact that you're trying to flip the script and say they were afraid of you or they saw you as different, perhaps maybe you saw them as different. Okay, because you didn't say, hey, look, I want to join in with whatever you guys got going on. I'm here in your country. Let me fall in. There's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans, fall in. But a lot of Haitians, just like a lot of immigrants, they want to separate themselves from Black Americans. Unfortunately, I do say they think that we are all, quote unquote, dirty Black Americans. They think that we are better, okay, than those Black Americans, and they fall for the propaganda. And so this is how that goes. And the truth is, they wouldn't do it if they didn't like it. Okay, obviously you like it. I'm just saying, you like having your own team, your own group. It's kind of like the American thing. If it wasn't for racism, we'd have intra-racism. It's always going to be a reason to separate yourselves. But Haitians, being a small population, is probably not a wise idea to do that, especially now. I'm just saying, this is the fallout. Somebody type fallout. Let's keep listening. Interesting hairdo, though. I love this hairdo. It's quite intriguing. Let's keep listening.
Exactly, and they go like you said, them not understanding the culture, and then because if you watch the Haitian narrative in popular culture, first is number one is voodoo. That's the first thing. So everybody's scared when the majority of us don't even do nothing, right? Have no part.
Now, why is it that Black Americans are supposed to understand you? You're coming to our country and you're saying that we are obligated to understand you and your culture. When did the onus become on the people who are you? Why? If you're moving into someone else's home or someone else's territory or someone else's land, how arrogant do you have to be to feel that they are responsible for learning your language and your culture? Are they also required to eat the food that you eat? Are they required to celebrate the holidays that you celebrate? I'm just saying, it seems a bit Seems like a bit of an imposition to me. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, but this is an arrogant attitude. Nobody owes you anything. Your job when you come to this country is to integrate and assimilate. Okay, I know there's some good spellers in here. Okay, so I want my good spellers to type assimilate. Okay, you assimilate to the way that we do things here in America. We don't conform to you because you're in our country. And again, this is why there's so much animosity, not just amongst the greater Black community, but amongst Americans in general. We are kind of tired of immigrants. And I get it, you know, America was built by immigrants. I know, I've heard the rhetoric. But the bottom line is, in America, we have a way of doing things. I'm more open-minded than most Americans because I'm a Black American. If you speak a foreign language, go ahead and speak your foreign language. I'm cool with that. But some Americans, and many will point out that the language that we speak in this country, the language of business, is English. So if you're in this country and you don't speak the English language, it becomes inconvenient, okay? And if we have to conform to you, if you're in a major American city and everybody in that city, the restaurants, the drivers of transportation drivers, they all speak a foreign language, you can't even operate like you feel like you're out of place. And no one wants to feel like they're out of place in their own country. And so this is why, and I'm just saying, if we're going somewhere like Minnesota where they have all those Somalians up there, if I was somebody who's a native Minnesotan, been there for hundreds of years, I can't even go to this part of town because the signs and the traffic lights and the people, they don't even speak the same language I do. I get it, okay? I'm not justifying xenophobia. I'm just trying to point out if there was some enclave in your home nation where everybody spoke English and you didn't speak English and you felt out of place in your own home, that you would feel a certain kind of way. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to help bridge some understanding here. And again, the greater point is, why is it that Black Americans aren't running to the aid of Haitians? And I'm trying to point out that overall, Americans generally are tired of immigrants who come here and don't assimilate. There'll always be a place for people who come to this country and assimilate and work hard and are law-abiding and want to bolster what we have going on here in the United States. However, when you come and don't assimilate, when you actually create obstacles and barriers for other Americans who've been here. That's just what I'm saying, okay? It's a touchy subject, but conversations like this don't help.
Right. Then it turns into the killer. Now we're the killers now.
Yeah.
We're the gangsters. Now everyone's scared of us because of that.
Yep.
Now it's more, people are starting to understand us more. Everybody doesn't do voodoo. Everybody's not a killer. You know what I mean? You know, we got regular people and, you know, all these various things. You see what I'm saying? So, but the narrative, it had to change.
So basically what the gentleman's saying, they brought crime and that was the reputation they garnered early on. Yeah, so there's another issue. You bring your stuff with you and it's not always good stuff. And so that's it. So now we're dirty Black Americans and you got all these mean things you're saying about us. So, when you have people who come on the internet and say, you know what, forget those guys, right? And I'm gonna let this speak for itself. But, you got people who say, forget those guys and we don't really care. And you don't see a lot of Black people jumping to the aid.
Is better than yours. That's because we filled it. Home. Get out. We know our country's better than yours. That's because we filled it with our work ethic and our culture and our values. You being here only dilutes it for us, those who built it and live it. And half of you people, more than half of you, won't assimilate. We don't want you. We don't care if you're offended. Get out. Go home. Go back to fucking Haiti. Sorry.
Family friendly.
I'm thinking about our friends in Ohio who've been dealing with these TPS Haitians for years now, who are drunk.
Now, I know this is a little racist. Okay. I know it's a little racist coming from her. Okay. But, I'm Black and I kind of voice the same opinions. Maybe I wasn't assertive and nasally with my response, but I'm just telling you, this is how a lot of Americans feel. I'm not saying all. Okay. But coming from her, it's racism, right? I try to talk to you. Okay. and explain from a Black consciousness understanding. But it's still the same thing. Okay, now she's dropped a few more F-bombs than I did. Somebody type family friendly in the chat room. But again, I want the immigrants who are listening to this to understand, what if a bunch of people came to your country, committed crimes, took resources, and you say, oh, you want us here. We're just here for an education. We know, but you're here and you're crowding up roads. It's housing issues because you need somewhere to stay. Your children enter into our schools. And I know it's a free education, but it's really not free, because you're looking at dozens and dozens and dozens of years of Americans, maybe hundreds of years of Americans paying taxes so that we could have those nice schools. So when you show up in, 2012 or 2014 and drop your child off in that school, the school's already been paid for by our tax dollars. So the same kids that will start the school on the year your kids start school, their parents have already paid. So we've already paid it forward, but then you come in and jump in line. Again, I'm very understanding. I am a kinder, gentler podcaster. Somebody type kinder, gentler. I am a kinder, gentler podcast than this young lady here with the nasally voice, who you all know as Megyn Kelly. I'm going to go ahead and let her finish, and then we'll try to come in and soften it up a little bit. And I know it sounds harsh, okay? But you guys don't, we're dirty Black Americans. You didn't want to listen to us, so you can listen to Megyn Kelly.
Drunk driving all over their towns and killing people. This is the whole cats and dogs thing. Like, they don't want to live like Americans live. And this was supposed to be it was supposed to be temporary help. And it's turned into another backdoor way of allowing someone permanent residency here. And they take advantage of all of our public services. And
yeah, I know. It's easy to dismiss stuff as racism. It's very easy. And in this particular situation, maybe it's a little racism in there. I don't know, maybe a little bit. I'm not saying, because, the South Africans, they want to bring them over here. But, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, probably. But the bottom line is that Megyn Kelly is conveying the point that a lot of Americans feel. Okay, I mean, but here's the thing. It wasn't always like this. Things were different. A president that I grew up with, many of you may know, we call him Rappin' Ronnie. He had some things to say about
I know that most Americans are immigrants from other countries.
go home. Get out. Go back to Haiti. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go back home now.
Some of you came from places that sadly have not known freedom or liberty. Some of you have come from places that don't offer opportunity. And some of you have no doubt come here for a new start, to wipe the slate clean and begin your life anew.
Now look, I just want to point out something. There's a recorded conversation by the FBI between Nixon and Reagan, and he was clearly racist. He was saying all kind of stuff about black people. So he's clearly racist, okay? But even here, you don't like Reagan, fine, but at least it wasn't to the point where he was exploding on people, saying, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. I get that. So let somebody type kinder, gentler in the chat room.
These strike me as all good reasons.
We're sick of all these illegals taking over our country. Get out. Go home. We don't want you. Sorry, but we don't.
50 million.
Now, again, you would think, okay, black Americans would take offense to that. But remember, you all have referred to us as dirty black Americans. Okay, I just want you to understand that. All right. This little nasally voiced lady is saying, basically, TPS, get out of here, go back to your whole countries. And black Americans are not coming to your aid. And the question we have to ask ourselves is why? Why are black people not standing on business, okay, and saying, hey, these people are black too? Well, again, I showed you a couple of videos. You can't go around calling people mean names and think they're going to come to your aid. Shout out to Fuquan. I'm just pointing that out. All right. I just want to lay that out there. Let's finish listening to Megyn.
Immigrants came to this country in the last 200 years. Some of the most recent have crawled over walls and under barbed wire and through minefields. And some of them risked their lives in makeshift boats.
We know our country's better than yours. That's because we filled it with our work ethic and our culture and our values.
America has drawn the stoutest hearts from
I want to
every...
point out something. Immigrants always say America was built by immigrants. America was built by settlers and slaves, okay? An immigrant is somebody who shows up to a country after the country is already built and defended and established. Then you immigrate to a country. This country was founded by settlers and slaves, okay? And slaves are not immigrants. They are imports, okay? That's what I just want. I want to point that out to you. So when people say this country was founded or built by immigrants, it was already built when the immigrants got it. They helped maintain it. They helped develop it. They added on to it, but the country was already established. Let's keep listening.
corner of the world, from every nation of the world. And that was lucky for America.
You being here only dilutes it for us, those who built it and live it.
To urge you to remember, as they did, the land of your birth. Bring to us its culture and its heritage. We don't reject them, we need them. They enrich us.
No, we don't want all those cultures, Reagan. We don't want some of those cultures are bad. I don't know if you've been watching a lot of these podcasts. We don't want some of the stuff from some of these other cultures. I'm just gonna point that out to you. We like how things are. We don't need any addition.
Half of you people, more than half, you won't assimilate. We don't want you.
You know, every now and then academics talk about assimilation and how our various ethnic groups have, with time, dropped their ethnicity and become more American. Well, I don't know about that. Seems to me that America is constantly reinventing what America means. We adopt this country's phrases and that country's art, and I think it's really closer to the truth to say that America has assimilated as much as her immigrants have. It's made for a delightful diversity, and it's made us a stronger and a more vital nation.
Americans live a certain way. We have certain cultural norms that we abide by.
They gave us their traditions, they gave us their words, they enlivened the national life with new ideas and new blood.
We've been flooded with immigrants who have nothing in common with us, and they need to go back home.
At the very
Yeah, I mean, so you get the point. Shout out to Fuquan. You get the point that Megyn Kelly is saying now. She's definitely, she has a strong opinion about this, and she voices the frustrations of many Americans. Now, why are they frustrated? Well, let me kind of point out something to you. I want you guys to listen to this video, and I found this to be very interesting because here is a Haitian woman responding to the Supreme Court, and listen to some of the things that she has to say. All right, we'll listen to this, and you all tell me if it's misplaced.
Raise our voices and to say this country is also our country, is also the country of our immigrants, because we are the one who built it.
Did you all hear that? This is also our country. This country is a country for immigrants because we're the ones that built it. Now, what? Okay, let's see. Help me understand. Do all immigrants see themselves as just one? One group. So if you're from Ukraine, then you just say, I'm just like the Venezuelan immigrants. Are y'all all like in one group? Because she said, now I do know there's some Irish people and some Italians probably in the chat room. And those Italians and those Irish, they came very early on and they helped develop a lot. The Germans who got here, who moved to the rural South, of course, the English, and of course, the Africans and the people of African descent, they are the people who helped build this country. The immigrants who arrived in 1985, I don't really think they can say, or they came here after the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. Can they really say they built the country? I just found this to be this rhetorical statement, oh, immigrants built this country. I'm an immigrant and therefore I have claim. I'm just going to disagree with that. But maybe you all will find some information to support her belief. But I'm gonna go out on the ledge and say, that's inaccurate. Yeah. Not
Here's the thing. When we say temporary, we mean temporary.
Temporary.
Okay? Temporary.
TPS, baby.
This is what temporary means.
Her name is Pretty the Realest. Y'all go over there to her Instagram page and y'all make sure y'all say Uncle D said what's up. Love her work.
Not permanent. It's not guaranteed.
Not, baby.
It's temporary.
temporary.
Here's the thing, okay? I understand Haitians' frustration. I really do. They have every right to be frustrated because our government did a lot to that country. A lot. Honestly. In fact, damn near everybody that's on the TPS register, it's because of what these people, our government, not the current administration, but the administrations before, did to their country.
But we didn't cause that earthquake. That wasn't on us. But go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Keep telling them. Mm-hmm.
So it really was kind of like tit for tat. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And you helped build. But to say that you built it, that's a damn lie. But this is the thing that I be.
Somebody type a damn lie in the chat room. Shout out to Fuquan. Thank you for being the second. Give me the second super chat. Good looking out, man.
Want to ask immigrants who are here on TPS to get upset when it's time for that shit to expire. What were you doing when you were here? Because you could have easily stacked up your bread and sent that shit back like a lot of people I've seen from African countries do. They usually be sending their money back home, building up shit, so that way they can retire and go back home and they got a place to be. Not only that, this is a really...
I don't think the Haitians want to go back home, baby. I don't think they want to. Because I'm going to talk about this a little later, but Haiti is not stable. I don't think Ghana is pretty stable. You know, Nigeria is pretty stable. But I don't think the Haitians want to go back home. I think they'd be like, no, they don't want to go back there. And there's a good reason why. But let's
serious question. And I'm not even being facetious about what I'm about to say. Y'all got that voodoo shit on lock.
Yes, yes.
On lock. A lot of these other countries, y'all do a whole lot of that African spirituality shit, that voodoo, that
we don't like voodoo. I think I can speak on behalf of the vast majority of foundational Black Americans. We don't do voodoo. We do Jesus. Okay. Shout out to Fresh Always. Somebody type Jesus in the chat room. When we hear voodoo, we start thinking about like chicken feet and bat toenails and monkey hips and doorknobs, and we like, nah, we good. We good. Sometimes I look at Sunday, you know, when you take, you know, the offering, sometimes I don't even want to take it's like, where y'all get this from? They get this little chip. I don't do that. Okay. So when you start talking about voodoo, you can say what you want to say about us. You can say, oh no, this is centered in African. We don't really do that. Even if you meet someone from Louisiana, okay, you're hesitant. Every Black person in America, especially Black men, know, don't eat spaghetti from any woman from Louisiana. We know that. That's how hesitant we are. Now, I don't want to get too far off the broadcast, okay? All right, but you can search it for yourself, right? We don't do voodoo. We don't, not really our thing. And so that alone will separate yourself from you know, we Christians over here. I'm Southern Baptist. I was born Southern Baptist and I'm gonna die Southern Baptist, okay? I have respect for whatever it is y'all try to do, but when you start talking about that hoodoo and voodoo, that's an automatic, like, we need to delineate from them off rip because we ain't trying to go to hell. Praise God. Let's keep listening.
And you're using witchcraft, basically. It's witchcraft. So much so that y'all didn't even came over here and combined it with our shit, which is hoodoo. Hoodoo is not witchcraft. But a lot of y'all combine the two and kind of get it mixed and screwed. At the end of the day, if you got all of this expertise in this practice, I haven't y'all
shout out to Myron Magnus. He said the voodoo seems not to be working.
Came together.
Voodoo didn't work on the Supreme Court. It didn't work. But I don't want to mess with that. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
The ones that do it, because I know everybody don't do it. The ones that do it, why haven't y'all come together to get the people that's fucking y'all country up the hell up out of there? Why y'all ain't put y'all two and two together and took care of that shit over there? Instead of using it on just everyday people who may do something that you may not like, whether it's the president, whether it's somebody that broke your heart. Well, unfortunately, you can't get mad at nobody but yourself. Because you should have prepared for you should have prepared
for your deportation. I'll say it for you. Now, again, we're laughing, and I hope nobody's laughing at these situations, but you know, there's some cultural differences between black people from the United States of America and black people from other countries. Okay. And she pointed out one, their religious practice. We ain't really with that. Okay, hell, there's some cultural differences between black people from South Carolina and black people from Texas. First of all, we don't understand what people from South Carolina are saying. Okay, I have no idea what any of you all are saying. Okay, let me just point that out off rip. Okay, all the people from South Carolina, don't be offended. I don't know what you're saying. Okay, and on top of that, you pull pork, you pull barbecue is not pulled pork. Okay, barbecue means a rib with some barbecue sauce on it, grilled on open roasted stove-like contraption, and it turns brown on the outside. Okay, that's barbecue. Not whatever it is y'all put on that sandwich is pulled pork. I don't want that. That's not barbecue. Humor aside, we are different from region to region. Now, when you start adding in people from different countries and different beliefs, we can't just mesh like that. So all black people don't just fall in line like that. But I'm gonna let the little lady finish talking, and then we're gonna move on.
Don't get mad at us. Really, truth be told, probably should have got along with us. Because we would have told you right then and there, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z. So those that got to go back, don't be mad at us. Don't call us out and say that we didn't help y'all or we didn't stand up for y'all, because that at the same time.
They called us dirty black Americans, though. Remember? That's what they said.
Use that practice that y'all hold so near and dear to y'all hearts.
Get them chicken feet. Go and get them chicken feet together.
Get those people who are.
I'm not saying that. She's saying get the chicken feet together. I would never. Okay, but
messing your country up, the hell up out of there. Use it and put that shit where it needs to be. Because we can't help you. We can't.
Baby.
We sorry. We can't.
That's how you talk. That's how you used to talk to the Jehovah's Witness when they show up at the door. We can't help you. We don't want your final call. We don't want your watch out. We can't help you. Thank God I got the little doorbell.
Time is up. Now, America, y'all make sure that y'all hold that same standard to the Ukrainians when it's time for them to go in October. Because I know that the money we've been sending over there been taking good care of their country.
Yeah.
I know it has. They got a whole ski resort and everything. Woo. So
they got a ski resort.
It's temporary for a reason. That's all I got to say about that.
Ski resort. But anyway, yeah, it's some cultural differences that make black people not just jump out there and help y'all out like that. We different. We not the same people. Let's go listen to some more people explain how they feel about the situation. Again, you know, I'm sympathetic. Okay, I'm a very sympathetic person. Don't ever say I'm not. I am. Okay, but I just let the people speak.
And Syrians, why did you wait 15 years? Temporary means temporary. You waited 15 years, you ain't get no paperwork, you ain't try to get legal, you ain't try to get permanent residence, you ain't try to become a citizen. You ain't
y'all see that big earphone in his ear? He's got to be a real estate agent or something. I mean, look at that ear. Look at that earpiece, man. Look at that. I bet he got the little, about the cell phone protector on his waist and everything. Y'all know him. Ladies, he's going to tell you if you pull up at the gas station and he's going to say, yeah, look like you got a timing belt loose right there. He could just listen to your car and tell you, I know him. He ready. That backpack and that hat, that lets me know he ready. Okay? Clearly. Let's keep listening to him. He know what he's talking about.
No green card. Temporary means temporary. To all my Haitians and Syrians, I am glad that they're ending TPS because it was temporary. It was never permanent.
Now, again, you heard, you know, Megyn Kelly, they had a little racism on the bottom of it, but you hear a lot of Black Americans saying the same thing. You know, and you got Black men saying it, you got Black women from all across America saying the same thing. So does that mean they're racist? You know? And the question you have to ask yourself is, why is it so many Black Americans have not endeared themselves to you? Have you perhaps, maybe they considered that you have not been good guests? I'm just pointing that out there, okay? because I don't see a lot of black people coming to your aid. Let's keep listening.
The comments I've been getting when I made a video, these folks, especially the white liberals, think I'm supposed to give a fuck about the Haitian and the TPS.
Family friendly.
Man, I am an American citizen. I'm not Haitian. I'm not on TPS. Just because we have the same skin color, I'm a little bit browner than most of them, but still, that doesn't make us the same race. I am not black and brown. I'm not a person of color, and I'm not African American. I am a foundational black American who was born in the United States.
Somebody type FBA in the chat room.
I'm not Somalis. I'm not Haitian. I'm not Jamaican. I was born and raised in the United States. My parents are foundational black Americans. These white liberals all over the internet saying, what are you talking about? Y'all black and brown. I'm not fucking black and brown.
Yeah, you know, a lot of white, I know white folks are confused, but they're black. You should be outraged that your people are being sent home. And black Americans like, nah, they don't even like us like that. They don't really fool with us like that, you know, and that's what's really going on. And it's unfortunate. It's truly unfortunate, but it didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be like that. But, you know, I think a lot of black Americans would say that a lot of these immigrants from Haiti and these other places have been bad house guests. And that's what you see happening right now. And this is the fallout from that. And they probably never thought it would happen. They probably never thought that this good old American government that, you know, has, you know, invited them over and given them jobs and great opportunities. They thought, you know, they were telling black Americans, we just need to work harder. Somebody type work harder in the chat room. They said, I think it was more like work harder. They told black Americans to work harder. That was the answer to everything. But see, you can't outwork this. You can't outwork that TPS status. You see what I'm saying? Perhaps, maybe, you know, they say this, there's this saying in the Bible, pride comes before the fall. And you have to be extremely prideful to tell a group of people who've been in this land for over 500 years that they don't know what they're talking about. And the simple answer is to just work harder. I would argue that nobody has worked harder than foundational black Americans from the time we got off the boat until right now. Okay, I would argue that. So if working harder was the answer, I don't think we would have any problems. And you can ask the Mexicans that, because right now the Mexicans working pretty hard too, and that didn't stop ICE from deporting them by the thousands. But I'm gonna let this brother finish speaking.
I'm a black American. When I fought for this country, I didn't fight for Africa. So I'm not an African American. I am a black American. A proud American. Just because I look like some of the Haitians, it doesn't mean a fucking thing, man. Temporary means temporary. And that's all to it.
That's all to it. Somebody said temporary. Is he racist for saying that? Because again, I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm not doing that. But, you know, I think all Americans, irrespective of the color, are kind of, you know, tired. And they're doing their very best to try to get black Americans angry and in an uproar. And I don't really just see black Americans that mad about this situation. They're not, some of them.
You will be just fine. I know y'all nervous about going back to your homeland. I know some of y'all are sad, depressed, anxious, confused. Don't know what to do right now. But remember this though, Haitians. Remember 1804. Remember that one hit that y'all had in 1804.
Shout out to Lisa Wilford. You being ugly, brother. You being ugly. You being real ugly right now, sir. But I'm gonna let you finish.
Y'all can make another hit. See, I used to say y'all was one-hit wonders. But I don't believe that no more. I believe a lot of you Haitians that was here in America, I think y'all picked up a lot of game. And I think the game that y'all picked up in America, y'all gonna translate it to Haiti. Reason why I say that because
this is the halftime speech in the locker room when your The junior varsity team is down by 45 points at your homecoming. This is the speech that the assistant coach gives, because the head coach, he's done. Okay. This is that speech right here. You can do it. You're gonna be all right. Get on back out there and go on out there and you know, and clean up. Just go start picking up. Start small. Cut your grass. Pick up trash on the side of the road. This is that speech. You just get on back to Haiti and, you know, try to be productive. Why don't you take up pruning? You know, this is that speech that this dude is giving. Bit facetious, but I'm gonna let him finish. Go ahead.
Y'all told Black Americans that y'all are better than us. Y'all are more educated than us. Y'all know more than us. Y'all doing better than us. Y'all have more things than us. Y'all accomplish more than us. So with all that being said, bring that to your homeland. A couple of you Haitians called us dirty Black Americans.
Dirty Black Americans.
To the clean Haitians. Go back to Haiti and show them how to be clean out there. Clean them up. Show them how to properly bathe and wash.
Oh Lord.
See if you can bring some products down there to Haiti from America and show them how to smell good and feel good.
I've never heard Black Americans talk like this to any group. Have y'all heard? Okay, so again, this sort of conversation, this tongue lashing is reserved for racists. Okay, and so for Black Americans to be talking to another group of Black people with this sort of, how should I say, savoir-faire, which is not the appropriate word, but basically it's animosity. It says a lot about the relationship that foundational Black Americans have with Haitians in particular. What have y'all done to them? Okay, because I don't have a lot of Haitians around me. Okay, I live in Texas. We don't have Haitians, but these folk here, okay, and I'm just checking the temperature, and it is hot. Matter of fact, it is cold. Okay, and we have to ask ourselves, what went wrong? What went wrong? Why? Shout out to Fuquan. Why are they being so mean? This is no other word than mean, and I'm mean, and I wouldn't be this mean. Okay, but let's keep listening to this conversation. Okay.
Y'all talk about our food here in America. A lot of Haitians always complain about soul food, how our food nasty. Well, guess what, Haitians? Teach the people in Haiti how to feed themselves without eating mud biscuits, or better known as dirt cookies. Teach them that. Teach them how to eat properly. And everything will be fine in Haiti. Because y'all showed me waving them Haitian flags, talking about Haiti is better than America.
I know they didn't say that. They did. I know they didn't say Haiti is better than America, brother. Now you embellishing now. You making up stuff. But keep going.
Saying how the white man gave Black Americans everything.
They did say that. They said we didn't fight for anything, right? We didn't fight in the Civil War. We didn't fight in all the wars in the United States. They just gave us everything. We didn't spill blood and sweat and tears. It was just given to us, right? So we're a bunch of beggars. Very insulting language, okay? And a lot of Black people heard you. A lot of foundational Black American people heard you. And this is the response. And it's unfortunate, okay? But again, if you come to someone else's country and you become so arrogant and entitled that you feel that you can denigrate an individual group there, you know, then, you know, at some point, you know, you got to expect a response. And this probably is xenophobic, but, you know, it didn't come from nowhere.
Well, prove it to us when y'all go back to Haiti. Prove it to us. And I believe everything y'all say. But anyway, Haitians, everything will be just fine. Bring your Haitian flag. Bring all the things that you have in America back to Haiti and make Haiti great again. Y'all have a good
one. They're not going to let them bring it back.
And safe travels. Peace out.
Yeah. That's not it's rough, man. I don't know what to say. I'm doing the best I can to try to, you know, I feel sorry. feel sorry for the people. Feel bad for them.
Scared.
Yeah.
Scared for my people, scared for what's coming, scared for our country.
We're in the Little Haiti neighborhood here in Miami, and right now people are sheltering in place after the Supreme.
That's not going to stop ICE. Sheltering in place is not going to stop ICE. I just want you to know. And you're in Florida too. And in Dade County, have you seen the Dade County deputy sheriff? Y'all see how big they wear green? They big. I'm big and they big. You know what I'm saying? All of them look like they played offensive tackle in high school. In Florida, sheriff's huge. You ever been to the Miami International Airport? Them big sheriffs come through with them big green, looking like some big Jolly Green Giant, big white boys too. Big white boy with rednecks, man. Huge. You hear me? They ain't them little Haitian doors are not gonna stop them big white. They got an agreement with ICE. This is not New York or California or Minnesota. They coming through. Okay, and they big. Them big white boys. They coming through. So you can shelter in place all you want, but you can. That's where most of the cops is with bad boys. What you gonna do? If they coming through, man, I'm coming through. Best thing to do is go ahead and start packing your stuff up and rolling up out of there, because you don't want them big white boys to put you in handcuffs and put you. You don't want that, because you'll be in there for 3 or 4 months before they send you back to Haiti. Go ahead, pack up and ease on up out of there with some dignity and grace. Find you somewhere else to go. Let's go ahead and listen.
The Supreme Court cleared the way for President Trump's administration to deport 350,000 Haitians living here in the United States with temporary protected status. No state has more Haitians than right here in Florida, and more than 100,000 people live here thanks to TPS.
All in that concentrated area. They got the wrong memo. Okay, shelter in place is like for hurricanes. Okay, this is not a hurricane. Okay, this ain't a hurricane. This is not that type of. Well, you need to dip and run. Y'all talking about shelter in place? No, dip and run. Somebody type dip and run in the chat room. This ain't a shelter in place situation. Okay, and now this dude on TV snitching. We got 100,000 right here. You know this little white Cuban dude is like, we got 100,000 of them right here. Most of them live right here in Little Haiti. They're right there. I see them. They're right over there looking at me. They're playing dominoes right now. You can hear them if you listen close. You can hear them say things like "Sapphire say." You can hear them right there, right? So he's snitching. You just come right to their neighborhood and you just told everybody where they are. You're not helping, sir. I don't even feel like he's serious with his little Apple Watch on and little tight skinny jeans. You are not helping the situation. Okay.
I think the community is right now wrought with fear and uncertainty.
It's a very chaotic moment because now people don't know what to do. They don't know where to go.
The impacts of this decision are widespread, from the children of parents who were here legally up until this decision, thanks to TPS.
He's a little too eager. He's a little too eager. They're right here. The parents are here and the children are here. Okay, they're all here. He's snitching. Who is this man? Find him on Twitter and tell him to stop snitching. Get him a stop snitching t-shirt.
Children will suffer that. They are not going to take them to the daycare. They are not going to take them to school. They are not going to take them to summer camp. And that's going to be very, very difficult for the families.
To the thousands of senior Floridians who are receiving elderly care here in Florida thanks to workers with TPS.
You can catch them at their jobs, helping the elderly. You can catch them down the street, just push that wheelchair out the way and just snatch the Haitian. That's what he said. He's snitching. That's not help. Some people don't help. He's not helping.
There's no one who benefits from this decision. No one actually benefits from this decision.
And one.
I would disagree. I think Americans generally believe they're going to benefit. But this little white Cuban right here, he right where they at. This is where they have the parade, right here. This is where they walk by on Haitian Independence Day. You're not helping, sir. You're not helping at all.
Haitian American priest who we spoke to is sending a clear message to President Trump.
He needs to demonstrate some kind of humanity in stopping that and also looking at them in a different.
You asking Donald Trump to demonstrate some humanity? Did you not know he just bombed the hell out of Iran? Did you not know our president kidnapped the president of Venezuela in the middle of the night, like for Valentine's Day? Did you know that? And presented him to him gift wrapped to Melania. I don't know, sir. I think you got the wrong president, sir.
Eyes. not look at them as threats. Do not look at them as strangers. Do not look at them as illegal people, but look at
he's looking at them as TPS, and the T in the PS has expired. Okay, that's what happens, sir.
at them as human beings.
The protected part, the T and the P have expired. There's no more temporary and protected. Okay, it's matter of fact, it's just temporary at this point because protected is gone. But yeah, you telling President Trump, and here's the cold part about it. This is what a lot of Americans voted for. I don't think y'all realize that Trump said exactly what he was going to do, and folks voted for him anyway. What does that tell you? And you saying he's doing what he was asked to do. Now I'm gonna play another video or two, and then we're going to get back to the regularly scheduled program.
Trump administration to end legal protections for migrants fleeing violence and natural disaster in Haiti and Syria.
And that move now puts hundreds of thousands more people at risk for deportation. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live. She's in Miami with reaction. Christina.
Advocates for TPS Haiti say at the intersection of this decision are human lives, adding that their fight is not over to keep them safe. News of the Supreme Court's decision rippled through members of South Florida's Haitian community gathered at Miami City Hall to protest the city's agreement with immigration and customs enforcement.
All of these battles are intertwined.
My people, they can't go back.
They gotta go back, baby. They don't go back. I know you're saying they can't go back, but yes, they can. They got airplanes that's gonna take them back. So I feel sorry for you. I do. I'm empathetic. Somebody type kinder, gentler Uncle D in the chat room. I'm a kinder, gentler Uncle D. Okay, that's what I am. I am kind.
It's real. The reality in Haiti is real.
In a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court gave the Trump administration the green light and temporary protected status for more than 250,000 Haitians.
There is no grounds for terminating Haiti TPS based on the country conditions inside Haiti. This is
So there are grounds. The president said so. That's the grounds, and that's what the Supreme Court said. He can do what he want to do. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm trying to be nice. Y'all like we won't. I'm trying to be nice. Okay? I'm trying to be kind. Lisa Wilford, were you a mean girl? I'm trying to be kind and empathetic. Okay? Don't be ugly. These are people who are hurting. Okay? So we're trying to be I'm doing my best to be understanding. Okay, I ain't crack no jokes. I'm trying to be straight line with this. And you I like to mean, don't do that. Don't do that. It's Sunday. This is God's day. Okay, we'll do this like Monday evening. We'll get back to being mean. We're being sensitive right now, Lisa Wilford. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this gentleman speaking. Somebody type kinder, gentler Uncle D in the chat.
absolutely absurd.
But with the State Department Level 4 do not travel advisory still in place for Haiti, TPS Haiti advocates say the Supreme Court's decision is cruel. They described forced deportations to the gang-riddled nation like a death sentence.
I would not say we would likely going back. We're going to stick together. We're going to keep on fighting. The battle.
Baby, don't stick together. Y'all got to break up. You got to break up. Maybe somebody go to Utah. And some other people maybe try to go to New York. Do you have any friends? Don't want to stick together. You want to separate, baby. Okay? That's the bad strategy. Okay? You don't want to be all in one place. They just pull up on you. Okay? Let's keep listening.
It's not over.
It's over, baby. It's
So
over.
you may hear that the battle is not over and think to yourself, a Supreme Court decision sounds pretty final, right? But in a long arc of U.S. history, you will see that
it's over. That's what it is. But anyway, let's go ahead and and the whole point is this. Why is it that Black Americans have not mobilized to come help our Black Haitian brethren and sisters? See, that's the question. Now, let's talk about the factual reality. Haiti isn't stable. Haiti doesn't have a stable government in an ordinary sense that Americans understand government. On April 16, 2026, which is only a couple of months ago, the United States State Department warned Americans not to travel to Haiti because of crime and terrorism and kidnapping and unrest and limited health care. And that's not a social media exaggeration. They literally said, if you're going to go down there, make sure you write a will before you leave. That's what the government said. Okay. Okay. And, you know, and that's, you know, look, that's the United States government telling its own citizens, don't go there. And Canada has issued a similar warning. International organizations, they say you got mass displacement, you got gang control, you have hunger, you have sexual violence, man, you got kidnapping, you got children being recruited into gangs and civilians trapped between the criminal gangs and the weak police force and the failed government. And the violence isn't vague. Reuters reported that on March 21st, 2026, the United Nations found that between January 2025 and March 2026, 14 months, violence in Haiti left 5,519 people killed and 2,608 injured. That same report stated that gangs controlled areas home in 4 Haitians. So 1/4 of the country is controlled by the gangsters. You understand me? Somebody type barbecue in the chat room. Okay. And the UN reported also identified, shout out to Fuquan, the UN report identified 1,578 rape victims, including 165 kids. Not even the kids are safe. The gangs are just horrible out there. And they aren't normal. These are not normal conditions. This is a war. These are war zone conditions without even a formal declaration of war. Okay, you understand what's going on? And look here, man. The sexual violence has to be said plainly. When international organizations talk about gangs using sex violence to spread fear, that means women and girls are being raped as a weapon of control. Shout out to Zach. And that means children are being victimized, and that means families are being destroyed before they ever even reach the courthouse or a school or a job. I want you to think about that. If you have 1,578 rape victims were documented in the reporting period, and all those, and a bunch of kids, you have a society that's collapsing. And we talk about kidnappings, just popping up, just disappearing. You understand? You see? And so when someone returns from the United States with an American accent, American habits, American clothes, or appearance of access to the U.S. money, that person can look like a walking ransom note. And that's why sending people back to Haiti after they've lived in the United States for 10, 15 years, you know, some for more than a decade, you know, at least since 2010, you know, it's not just a deportation, it's exposure. Now, there was a February 2026 story that should haunt everybody. So on February 2nd, 2026, the Associated Press reported that the authorities in the Dominican Republic found the bodies of at least 4 decapitated Haitian women near the border with Haiti. And Dominican police said the victims were Haitians, and the investigators believe the women were killed in Haiti before their bodies were thrown into the river and carried by the current. Shout out to Pete 6300. And later that month, Amsterdam News reported that the women were recently deported from Puerto Rico, and that the labor organizations in Puerto Rico were demanding answers. Even if a person wants to separate what the AP confirmed from what the later advocates reported, the point remains horrifying. You got 4 Haitian women who were found with their heads cut off, all right, on the border after being deported from a U.S. territory, i.e. Puerto Rico. And so let's be clear about what this means. These Haitian TPS holders aren't being sent back to a country with normal law or hospitals or streets, normal anything, no courts, no nothing, right? They're being sent back to a country with gangs, controlled territory, kidnapping, rape on a regular basis. It's you know, I mean, kidnapping is a business model, okay? So this is what they're going back to. They aren't, look, and these aren't necessarily people who've been going back and forth to Haiti. Some of them have been in the United States for the better part of the past 20 years. And Haiti received TPS on January 12, 2010. So they hadn't been back there in a long time. Some of them have kids that were born here. Some of them barely know Haiti anymore, if they know it at all. Some have no meaningful family structure left in Haiti. Some may return with American habits and expectations. You know, can you imagine that? The culture shock, you got to go back to that. You got to go back there and be picking up water from down at the creek. You understand what I'm saying? And see, this is the part people don't want to visualize. If 350,000 Haitians, that's a lot of people, or even a significant number of that number are stripped of protection, sent back to Haiti after June 25th, 2026, many of them won't be returning as ordinary citizens walking into normal life. They'll be returning as fresh meat. They are going to be fresh meat. And that sounds brutal, but it's the most accurate way to describe how a collapsing country dominated by gangs and failed institutions sees people coming from the United States. They won't just be returnees, they'll be targets. Okay, now imagine a plane lands in Haiti. Okay, they're processed, documented, they're released, and then what? There's no stable government waiting to reintegrate them. Maybe they stay in a hotel for a couple of days if they can afford it. There's no functioning social safety network prepared to absorb them. There's no guarantee of a job. There's no shelter. There's no medical care. There's no transportation. Many won't have family waiting for them at the airports. Some haven't lived in Haiti since 2010, 2011, and 2012. Some left after January 12, 2010 because of the earthquake. So they don't even have a home to go back to if they wanted to go back. They got kids in the United States. They have bank accounts and apartments and furniture and cars. All that, they just got to up and leave. Their clothes, their tools, entire lives. They no longer, you can't drive to Haiti in a pickup truck, okay? All of a sudden, boom, they're deported. Their property's gonna get seized in the formal legal sense, but it could be lost through eviction and abandonment and repossession, storage costs, unpaid bills. Relatives take over. Landlord simply just say, oh, well, you paid your rent, but you gone now. Now picture a young man stepping off the plane and he speaks Creole, but maybe his accent has changed. Maybe he moves differently. Maybe he dresses like somebody who's from Florida or New York or Massachusetts or New Jersey or Ohio. Maybe he pulls out a phone that looks better than the local people have. Maybe somebody hears him say he came from America. That's enough. In a country where kidnapping has become the industry, that young man can instantly become a walking ransom demand. A gang doesn't have to know he's rich. They only have to believe somebody in America might pay some money for him. Okay? And that's how extortion starts. First, it may be a fee to pass through the neighborhood. Then a demand for money just to stay alive. Then a phone call to relatives in the United States. Then threats, then beatings. Can you imagine that? Then the family is told to send money through whatever channel still works. But if the person has been deported, that family may already be financially broke. The deported person is no longer working in America. The apartment is probably gone. The paycheck is gone. The work authorization is gone. The U.S. support network is under pressure. And because formal missions and aid channels and safe movement inside Haiti are limited, even people with relatives abroad may not be able to get help into the right hands fast enough. And that's a young man. What about a young woman? Young Black Haitian woman. She lands with a suitcase, a purse. She's been living in America for the past 15 years. Maybe she got there when she was 15. She's 30. You see? In a normal circumstance, she might be able to call a cousin and find a room or try to figure something out, get an Airbnb. But Haiti isn't operating under normal circumstances. Sexual violence isn't incidental there. It's part of the terror system. And when the United Nations documents over 1,500 rapes, including children, between January 2025 and 2026, that wasn't a full universe of the victims. That was the documented number. So in a country where gangs control territory and victims have no safe police station, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. So a returned woman with an American connection, she's going to face extortion, coercion, sexual assault, forced protection, or threats against any family member that she still might have in Haiti. I'm not fear-mongering. That's not what I'm doing. That's what gang control does to women's bodies when the state loses the streets. Now picture an older person, an older man. He worked his whole past 15 years. He worked in a nursing home, a warehouse, a farm, a kitchen, a hotel, or a church. Probably paid taxes. Maybe he sent money back to Haiti for years. He returned to a country where you got a bunch of young men controlling the movement of food, fuel, roads, and neighborhood. He may need medication, might have a heart condition, might have blood pressure issues. He might need insulin, some basic medical care. But Haiti's health system is unstable, and the hospitals have been attacked or shut down, and even reaching care can require passing through dangerous territory. So for an older person, deportation might just look like an execution. It's just basically a slow death from exposure, hunger, and untreated illness. You see? And then you got to add the regional reality. The Dominicans don't want them. It's nowhere to go. The Dominican Republic has already shown that it is not trying to absorb Haiti's crisis. In October 2nd, 2024, the Dominican president announced a plan to deport 10,000 Haitians per week. He trying to beat Trump. 10,000 a week. And so by April 1st, 2025, Dominican Migration Authority said that they had deported 180,000 Haitians in 6 months. By May 5th, 2025, the Dominican government reported 119,000 deportations in the first 4 months of 2025, including 311 in January alone. And then in February 2025, 226,659. In March 2020,000, about 29,000. In April 2025, another 32,000. So not only do you have the Americans, Haitians being sent back, or American, you also got Haitians from the DR coming back. But all together, the Dominicans have sent home 270,000. In other words, the Dominican Republic isn't quietly absorbing displaced Haitians, it's pushing back. And the DR has gone even further. In May 2026, the DR reportedly agreed to accept a limited number of third world deportees from the United States, but no Haitians. So we'll take Venezuelans, we'll take Colombians, don't send any Haitians over here. And that tells you everything. Even when Caribbean governments are willing to cooperate with the U.S. deportation arrangements, Haiti is treated as an exception. Haiti is too unstable, too politically sensitive, and too dangerous. So where are these people supposed to go? In theory, the government can say they should return to Haiti or find some other lawful status. In reality, many will have nowhere safe to go, nowhere realistic to land. Nobody wants Haitians. Okay? No receiving society wants to absorb it. And I'm not just talking about the DR. You have other Caribbean countries that don't want them. There were several Haitians that landed in Jamaica. They just sent them back. They landed in a place called Portland in Jamaica. The Jamaicans sent them back. You see? Bottom line is when people say send them back, they need to say they need to say the rest of it. Send them back to gang checkpoints. Send them back to ransom calls. Send them back to neighborhoods where they armed men decide who passes and who disappears. Send women back to a country where rape is used as a weapon of control. Send children back to a country where children are recruited in the gangs. This is what we send the bill. Y'all come here for the truth. I'm gonna give it to you. However you feel, whatever you feel, That's why I'm going to lay it out for you to understand, right? That's what I do. This is what we sending them back to. And we can kiki and caca and laugh as Foundation of Black Americans because they call us dirty Black Americans, but them girls are going to get raped when they go back. Those men are going to get extorted. When you send these Americanized Haitians back, they're going to get kidnapped. And and look, having relatives in the United States is not going to save them. They are fresh meat. That's what that means. It means deportation doesn't end at the airport. The danger begins after the plane lands. The danger begins when the processing is over and when the crowd thins out. When the person has to figure out where they're going to sleep, how they're going to eat, how they're going to move, how they're going to hide. You go from shopping in the Dayland Mall or living in Fort Lauderdale or hanging out in Brooklyn, New York, and now you back in Haiti. You back in Port-au-Prince. All of a sudden, with no money, no cell phone, no nothing. And if we talk about 350,000 Black people, hell, if 50,000, 25,000 is, think about that. That's a massive human, that will be a mass human vulnerability event. It will be an infusion of deported, Americanized, isolated, desperate people in a country where gangs, extortionists, traffickers, and predators are already looking for leverage. That's the practical consequence, not policy, not theory. That's fresh meat. I'm just saying that's what's going on. Now, before we go any further into the politics of Black American silence, somebody type, we're resting. I want y'all to type, we're resting. I respect it. I'm just giving you the information like you need to hear, so you can have a full scope of what's going on. But before we go into any more of that, I want to really take the opportunity to break down this lawsuit. If you guys will bear with me, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want to bore y'all to death. But I do want to kind of introduce you all to what a Supreme Court opinion looks like, if you don't mind. So what I'm going to do, if you will indulge me, please. Read a lot of these back when I was a baby lawyer and a law student. You let me know that you can, when I pull, I want to make sure you guys can see it. Hopefully, let me see. I want you all to see this Supreme Court ruling. All right, let me know if you guys can see that. It should be on the screen. See that? The Supreme Court of the United States, October term. Now, and I'm not gonna just keep it up here, but I want to kind of let y'all, this is what it's this is about, this is 49 pages long. Of course, I'm not gonna sit here and read it, but I did go over it. I want to read some of the interesting parts, okay? Shout out to Florida. Thank you so much. I'm gonna read what I think are interesting parts, and hopefully if I do my job, it'll be interesting to you. Now, the case is, can y'all see that, by the way? Can you see the Supreme? The case is Mullen v. Doe, and it was decided basically last Friday, June 25th, 2026. And it actually is two cases, okay? Consolidated together, which means the court said, hey, these are similar issues, so we're just gonna put them together. That's consolidated. And one involves Syrian TPS holders and the other involved Haitian TPS holders. But since most of y'all don't know where Syria is on the map, I'm not gonna even bother telling you about that one, but it's over there. We'll just say it's over there in Arab people land, Okay, it's over there by Israel. We don't need to talk about it. Y'all don't know. Y'all know what Haiti is. That's the place kind of by Jamaica, but not really that y'all fly over. But anyway, let's get back to it. So we're not going to too much deal with the Syrians, but but the Haitians, right? The Haitian TPS holder. And the basic question was whether the federal courts could stop the government from ending temporary, in other words, stop Trump from ending temporary protected status, or TPS, for these Syrians and Haitians, and while the lawsuits continue. And the Supreme Court said, no, no, you can't. And they ruled 6-3. There are 9 Supreme Court justices. 6 of them said no, 3 of them said yes. And then you had Justice Alito writing for the majority, in other words, the winners, and Justice Kagan writing for the dissent. And she was joined by Justice Sotomayor and Justice Ketanji Jackson. And the split was sharp, straight down ideological lines. And the majority treated this like a statutory power case. Like there was nothing emotional about it. But the dissent, okay, Ketanji, okay, and Justice Kagan and Justice Sotomayor, right? They treated it like it was a human catastrophe mixed with legal violations. And so the background is simple. Congress treated TPS in the 1990s, or created it in the 1990s under Bill Clinton. It was a humanitarian relief for people who couldn't safely return to their countries because of, extraordinary conditions like natural disasters. And Haiti received TPS in 2010. And that was after that earthquake that killed hundreds of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, and destroyed property and made the living conditions horrible. Okay. And Syria got theirs in 2012 because there was a crazy man named Assad, and he was doing crazy things and just killing civilians. But the key phrase is the majority opinion is the temporary is this is what they said, temporary. The court stressed that TPS was created as a temporary program. And to me, they're yelling at the minority like, hey, fool, temporary means not forever. Okay. And this is lawyers talking to each other, explaining it to each other, but justice, but anyway, even though in practice it often lasted for decades, it was still temporary. So Justice Alito pointed out that Haiti's TPS designation had effectively allowed Haitian TPS holders to keep that status for 16 years. And that matters because the majority's basic posture was that this program may have become long-term in real life, but Congress still wrote it as a temporary relief. In other words, hey, they've been here. I guess they thought, well, they've been here so long, we might as well give them a path to citizenship. And the majority said, no, temporary means temporary. Whether you're here for 16 months or 16 years, you gotta go. Shout out to Atamara. Thank you so much. Now, this matters because, again, the majority posture was the program may have become long-term, but it was supposed to be temporary. So how did this case get to the Supreme Court? Well, the Department of Homeland Security, somebody type ICE in the chat room, announced that Syria's TPS was going to be terminated, and 7 Syrian nationals immediately filed suit in federal court in New York. Very friendly venue for them, because very friendly, liberal type state. Then the government announced that Haiti's TPS was about to be terminated, and 5 Haitian nationals sued in the federal court in Washington, D.C., another very friendly venue. Okay, this is liberal town, right? Liberal places. And so those lower courts granted the relief. Of course, that's what they're going to do. That's how the politics are played. Liberal judges, Republican judges, conservative, different. You kind of already know how it's going to go. The bottom line is the lower courts granted the TPS, or granted the relief, meaning they stopped the terminations from taking place, or taking effect, I should say. And while the litigation continues, in other words, y'all keep this going until the case is resolved. Hopefully Trump won't be in office and we'll get another Democrat in there, but it didn't work like that, right? So the Second Circuit DC court refused to give the government a stay. So the government went straight to the Supreme Court and asked the court to step in before the normal appellate process finished. In other words, the government said, hey, we don't want you to honor that lower court's decision. We want you to stay that and don't make us stop. We want to go ahead and get these people out of here. We only got 4 years. So the government said, nah, the Second Circuit said, nah, we're we're not gonna let you do anything. And so they appeal that to the Supreme Court because they want to get these people out of here. Okay, and that's important. And this wasn't a slow, ordinary appeal after a final judgment. This was certiorari before the judgment. So we haven't even tried the case yet. We're gonna get these people out of here. Okay. And the Supreme Court jumped in early because the government said the lower courts were blocking immigration policy and interfering with the executive branch's authority. And the majority of the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's what they're doing. We see it, right? And they said TPS statute plainly prohibits the non-constitutional claims. Okay, the statute says there's no judicial review. Basically said you can't tell the president what to do. It says it right there in the statute, right? Any determination by the Secretary of Homeland Security with respect to the designation, termination, or extension of TPS for a foreign state. Now, I want y'all to understand something. Executive, legislative, judicial. 3 branches of government. Not trying to give y'all a lesson, but Secretary of Homeland Security falls under the executive branch. So if you're trying to stop the president, if you're trying to stop the Secretary of Homeland Security from doing something, then you're basically trying to stop the president from doing something. So you're in violation of the separate branches of government institutions that we have set up. Now, the majority read the language broadly, not narrowly. And Justice Alito said, this is clear. You can't tell them what to do. It's plain. What's wrong with you? Why are y'all tripping? We got you. It's over. And that's the court's way of saying these lower courts, you had no business getting involved in this in the first place. Okay. Shame on you. That's basically what it says. So the majority also rejected the argument that the courts could at least review whether the secretary followed proper procedure. They said, nope, you can't touch it at all. Get on, mind your business. Okay, the majority said no. So this effectively says, you let us find out you keep fooling with this man and the CPS again. Do it again. That's basically what they say. Do it again. Okay. And so and I'm gonna take this off the screen because I know y'all don't want to see that boring case. But so that's basically what they said. Now Justice Alito basically said that the secretary did something that abused Congress. Abuses the Congress should deal with it, not you. Okay, and that's the cold legal answer. And the court's message was not every abuse is for the court to fix. It's not our problem. Yeah, it's abusive. You sending these people back to a gang zone. There's going to be a lot of graping going on, but that ain't our problem. Talk to Congress. Okay, and then the court turned to the race claim involving Haiti, and the Haitian plaintiffs argued that the termination of Haiti's TPS was motivated by race, and the majority assumed without even deciding that stronger Arlington Heights equal protection standard applied. But even under the standard, the majority said the claim was unlikely to succeed. Why? Because Justice Alito said none of the cited statements by President Trump or Secretary Nolan was racial. That's what they said. Okay. Now let's talk about the dissent. Okay. Well, let me say this. Justice Alito also made the point that cuts directly against the Haitian plaintiffs. He said that the administration had terminated every TPS designation, not just for Haitian. And that came up for review 13, and it covered. That was East Asia, Central Asia, Middle East, Africa, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. And the majority used that as an evidence that the policy wasn't just targeting Haitians or anti-Black. We getting all these people, all these dark brown people and Black people are getting out of here. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, Justice, the 3 dissenting justices, Justice Kagan dissent is where the fire is. She starts by saying that for more than a decade, the government allowed Haitian and Syrian nationals to live and work in the United States because their countries were too jacked up to return. And then she says the court is now undoing that preliminary relief and forcing the terminations. That's going to take effect immediately. So they gone. Okay. One of the strongest lines she says the plaintiffs are entitled to remain while the cases go forward. And she dissents from the court's decision that they should be put on the next plane. You see what I'm saying? She basically said they may be put on the next plane. That's some strong language. And that's about as close as a Supreme Court justice gets to saying this court's sending people into danger. Kagan also goes directly at the majority statutory reading, and she says that the majority said the word determination includes the whole chain of events leading up to the final TPS decision. And I know this is boring, but I think it's important. Okay. Now Kagan, she said she called that reading not just broad, but strange. They are shooting barbs at each other. I know y'all don't understand this, but this is tough stuff they talking at each other. Okay. She even mocked the majority's logic when one word she said, voila, right? That's the Supreme Court sarcasm. That's the justice saying the majority just magically expanded the statute to make plaintiffs lose. So she came with it. She also quoted statements about Haitians. And then when she said, y'all said there's no race involved, y'all haven't heard the president said anything racist. And she said the evidence of racial motivation was plain to see. She pointed out the majority wouldn't even repeat the statements from Trump, from President Trump when she did repeat it. She in this opinion, it says the Haitians are eating dogs and eating cats, probably having AIDS, HIV being Haiti is being a shithole country. Haitians are poisoning the blood of the country. And this is what she said, and they're going to be reading this 100 years from now, right? And then she said the references to filth and disease and primitiveness were shot through with racial stereotypes and tropes. This is what she said. Y'all say there ain't no racism, right? That's pretty racist to me. That's what she said, the Supreme Court justice. Not me saying, I'm just reading what it said. And that's some very strong judicial language. And Kagan wasn't just disagreeing. She was accusing the majority of sanitizing the record, hiding stuff, lying. And she said judges aren't required to be naive. Okay, we don't have to be stupid, right? And her point was simple. Haitians are black, Norwegians and Swedes are not. So when the president contrasts Haiti with Norway and Sweden and talks about Haitians with language of filth and disease and blood and poisoning, Kagan says you don't need to pretend you can't see racial message. It's right there. Okay, so I thought that was pretty strong language. That was some pretty strong language, but that's drama. I know y'all don't get it, but it means a lot to me. That's some Supreme Court drama. Okay, the dissent spoke in the language of uprooted lives and danger and families left behind and race-based tent. And that's the drama of this case. The majority said Congress wrote it in the statute. This is what it says. It gives the secretary enormous power. We're good. It's none of our business. That's basically what they said. Okay. And in the meanwhile, you got the three justices on the dissent saying the secretary likely violated the statute of race and likely infected the Haitian decision. And the court is allowing hundreds of thousands of people to be thrown out the country. And that's the split. And that's why this ruling mattered before we even get to the question of why Black America is so quiet. So they going home. They about to go home. They gonna get up out of here. But the far-reaching effects of this ruling is not theoretical. That Supreme Court ruling is practically speaking, it means more than 350,000 Haitians, Black people, who've been living and working in the United States under TPS are now vulnerable. They've lost their protection. They're losing work authorizations and being placed in removal proceedings immediately. And because of that Cuban news anchor, they know where they are now. He went right there and showed them where they are. Okay. But I want you to understand the math in real life. Okay. Okay. If we talk about 350,000 Haitians, we're not talking about just individuals floating around America. We're talking about households. We're talking about families being torn apart. We talk about more apartments being empty, mortgages, leases going unpaid, churches emptying out. Your kids' friends, schools, daycares, businesses. This is what we're talking about. Okay. So let me throw some numbers. The Migration Policy Institute has reported that Haitian households in the United States have an average of about a house size of about 2.9 people. In other words, 3 people in the house, right? So if you simply divide 350,000 Haitians, 350,000 Haitian TPS holders by average, the average household size is 2.9, then you're looking at roughly 120,000 homes. 120,000 families are gonna have a bad Christmas or whatever holiday, whatever voodoo holiday. I don't know if y'all Christian or not, but whatever it is, 120,000 families are gonna lose a family member. That's basically what they're saying. Okay, and that's on the low end. You understand? And this means enforcement comes. It does not just remove people. It empties beds. It empties apartments. It empties leases. Furniture left behind. Children confused. Where my daddy at? Where my mom at? What happened to grandma? Landlords with vacancies. Church members disappearing. You will not have the minutes read this week because Miss Francis got sent home. Employers left without workers. Children getting left at school because the parents got disappeared. Elderly people, nobody come there to change their bedpan. They just pissing on themselves all day down there in Florida. That's why people move to Florida to retire. That's why they got a bunch of old people in Florida. Okay? But leaves the neighborhoods, businesses closed, unpaid rent. Okay? And that's a real visual. Shout out to Black Sand. That's it. That's not a legal theory, that's policy. You see? I want y'all to picture this. Black bodies in handcuffs. And just so you can understand what's going on. In 1808, there's about 400,000 Black people in the United States who were enslaved. They talk about sending 350,000 Black people back to Haiti. That's the type of numbers we're talking about. So as a practical matter, enforcement won't happen in the abstract. ICE doesn't raid ideas. ICE raids neighborhoods. ICE raids workplaces. ICE raids homes. ICE raids restaurants and construction sites, churches. So when the federal government moves aggressively after basically immediately, we already know what this is going to look like. It'll look like ICE hitting Haitian neighborhoods hard. It looks like ICE hitting Black-owned Haitian businesses being targeted. And we talk about places like Florida, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Ohio, Georgia, and other states being watched and entered and surrounded and disrupted. It'll look like Black people being placed in handcuffs and hauled away by the government. And yes, they are Haitian. We agree, right? We agree that they are Haitian. They are not foundational Black Americans. We can agree to that, right? Right? We don't like them, right? But they still are Black. They are still Black. And we're going to have to see that, aren't we? We're going to have to look at it. Might not like it. Might not like them because they did call us dirty Black Americans, right? They did do that. They did pick a fight with the wrong one. Okay, because we are not really trying to we ain't really trying to help them. But we are going to see a lot of Black bodies in handcuffs and hauled off by the government. Okay? They're still descendants of people who endured the same transatlantic slave trade and colonialism and plantation violence and racial hierarchy and anti-Black exploitation. Shout out to Sonia Mack. Haiti's history isn't outside the Black story. Haiti is one of the most important Black stories in history of the modern world. You understand? Haiti defeated slavery. Haiti humiliated European empires. It set a chain of events which led to where we are, or helped at minimum. Okay? Be mindful of that. Haiti paid a dear price too, and they're still paying for it, even right now in 2026. We're gonna watch black people from Haiti get dragged out of American life and sent back into one of the most dangerous environments in the Western Hemisphere. And that's what makes the silence, the foundation of Black Americans, striking to most people, even to us. See, under ordinary racial circumstances, everybody would expect Black Americans to react viscerally to these optics. You would expect Black Americans to see federal agents arresting Black mothers and Black fathers and Black children and Black workers basically minding their business, raiding churches, kids being separated from parents. You would expect us to say, no, not like this. You would expect the old civil rights reflex to activate. You'd expect Black American organizations to mobilize. You'd expect fraternities and sororities and churches and political causes and legal legacy civil rights groups and student organizations and Black media institutions to make this a national Black issue, but that hasn't happened. And the reason isn't simply ignorance. It's not simply coldness. It's not simply that Black Americans don't know Haiti is suffering. We know that. Y'all just heard what I said. Y'all knew it before I told you. It's something much deeper. And see, now here is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because see, the real question isn't simply why the federal government is doing this. The real question is why FBAs aren't mobilizing in a way outsiders would expect. And the answer is that Black America is no longer operating under the old assumption that all Black people in America are part of one political family. That framework has collapsed. It's gone. Foundational Black Americans have increasingly separated ourselves from the broad category of African American. And I think that people are just now coming to terms with that. And it's been a long time coming. But this is what it looks like up close and personal. See, it started to, well, let me say it like this. That term is too imprecise, African American. And this FBA term is, I would say, timely. See, when we start talking about African American, it started including actual African immigrants and Caribbeans and immigrants and children of those immigrants, even though their histories and their legal claims and their relationship to the United States aren't the same as ours. And this isn't merely Semitic, it's political. Foundational Black Americans are saying we aren't just Black people who live in America. We are the descendants of the enslaved people who built this country. We survived American slavery, American apartheid, convict leasing, redlining, exclusion, racial terror, state-sanctioned discrimination in this country. Our claim isn't just racial, it's lineage-based, it's historical. You see, it's national. It's very specific also. And that specificity is why many FBAs don't automatically see the Haitian TPS as our fight. Okay, and that sounds harsh, right? Because these are Black people we're talking about. These are Black bodies that we're about to see get rounded up and sent home and treated roughly, right? And we don't like that. And I think I can speak on behalf of all Black Americans, say that's not something that we want to see. But we're still not motivating us to do it, okay? Okay? And see, the thing you have to understand is this, it's not all our fault either. And this is going to sound even more harsh. But Haitian immigrants have maintained a distinct national identity. Many will tell you plainly, I'm not black. I'm not Black American. I'm Haitian. And that statement is understandable from their perspective. Okay, kudos to you. They have their own history. They have their own language. They should be proud of their flag and their revolution and their national pride and their own relationship to the United States. But the problem is that when crisis comes, the federal government doesn't care about those distinctions. To ICE, to the police, to the employers, to the immigration agents, and to many white Americans watching from a distance, a Haitian body in handcuffs is still a black body in handcuffs. And here's the strategic mistake. Many Haitian immigrants and other black immigrants came to America and kept themselves culturally and politically separate from foundational black Americans. They didn't come in saying, hey, we're here to merge fully into your historical struggle, your political agenda, your institutions, and your claim against this country. Okay? Many of them came saying, no, we're different. We're Haitian. We aren't Black American. We're not you dirty Black Americans. Y'all, you want me to play the video again? Okay? Again, that's true. But if that's the position before that you took, now that this crisis has come along, you can't be shocked that foundational Black Americans are responding by saying, then why is this our problem? And that's not me being petty. That's group politics. That's how that works. Okay? Now, there's also some economic and institutional issues here. There's an institutional layer. People don't want to discuss. People don't want to talk about it. Foundational Black Americans believe with good reason that many programs and opportunities and admission preferences and hiring initiatives and professional pipelines, medical school seats, police recruitment, corporate diversity initiatives were created because of the specific oppression of foundational Black Americans in the United States. Okay? And those opportunities weren't created because Haiti had a revolution. They weren't created because Jamaica was colonized by Britain. They weren't created because Nigeria had an ethnic conflict. They were created because the United States enslaved and segregated the ancestors of foundational Black America. Shout out to Black Sand. But when Black immigrants arrive, they are often folded into the general category of Black. Somebody type Black so that I know you all are listening. Okay, institutions count them as Black. Universities count them as Black. Corporations count them as Black. Government agencies count them as Black. Government agencies, police departments count them as Blacks. When they commit crimes, it gets weighed into us. Medical schools count them as Black. And the FBA critique is straightforward. If the slot was created to remedy historical exclusion for our people, why are people from other nations using that slot while remaining culturally, politically separate from us? And there's data behind this, which why this supporting this complaint. In 2007, there was a legal scholar. Her name was Angela Willick. I think it was Onwuchi. She might have been Nigerian, Willick. And she wrote about the legacy of Blacks and the problem of elite colleges admitting Black immigrants and children of Black immigrants. In other words, Black immigrants and first generation or second generation immigrants, while the descendants of the enslaved Black Americans remain underrepresented. In other words, you got a school full of Black people and none of them are FBA. But you said we got a school full of Black people. That was 2007. And they did it on purpose in these elite colleges. And so in 2013, legal scholarship discussing Black immigrants and affirmative action cited the survey data from 28 select colleges and universities, and it showed that 27% of the Black freshmen were first and second generation immigrants. And other research has found that immigrant blacks are overrepresented in selected higher education. In other words, you got these immigrants who are basically coming in and taking our spots and getting counted as black. Shout out to Fuquan. That doesn't mean that every black immigrant stole a seat. That's not what we're saying, but it does mean the institutional category of black fails to distinguish between foundational black Americans, in other words, descendants of American slavery and voluntary immigrants of their children. And that's exactly the FBA complaint. They didn't have to come here. And see, let me tell you something else. The issue becomes even worse when you talk about elite universities and medical schools, and black Americans fought the civil rights battles, and we did all of this to get affirmative action so we can get some set-asides for ourselves. And these institutions arrive and go to these people who have no lineage to our struggle. And that includes Haitian immigrants, Nigerians, Jamaicans, Ghanaians, or a child of black immigrants who can be counted. It gets counted the same way as an FBA descendant. And they didn't have to survive Jim Crow or American chattel slavery or redlining or exclusion or state-sanctioned anti-black discrimination. And so from the FBA perspective, that's not repair at all. That's avoidance. And don't let me start talking about the job market. In January 2026, they said about 200,000 Haitian TPS holders were already in the U.S. workforce, including 15,000 agricultural workers, 13,000 nursing assistants, and 8,000 caregivers. And see, the mainstream immigration argument is always these workers are essential and these are jobs Americans won't do. But my response, and most black Americans' response is, black Americans will do those jobs. Most Americans will do those jobs. Black teenagers can cut grass. Black teenagers can bag groceries. They can stock shelves. They can work summer jobs. They can clean bathrooms. They can work in hospitals. They can work in nursing homes. They do all kinds of labor people now pretend Americans are too good to perform. The real issue isn't whether black Americans will work. The real issue is the wages and the conditions and the dignity and the scheduling, and whether employers want a labor force that can be underpaid or overworked and replaced without political consequences. That's what it really is. That's whether they do jobs Americans won't do. Line becomes insulting. It's often a polite way of saying employers found workers willing to or desperate enough to accept wages and conditions. Americans will say, oh no, we're gonna reject that. You got to do better. And black Americans aren't allergic to labor. That's what we've been doing. Our ancestors performed the hardest labor in this country for free. Our grandparents and our parents did domestic work and agricultural work and farm work and sanitation work and railroad work and hospital work and service work. The question is whether the labor will be paid fairly. You pay us enough, we'll clean toilets, but you can get away with paying those immigrants far less and treated with less dignity. So if the answer is no, then the presence of immigrant labor can become a pressure valve that allows employers to avoid raising wages enough to attract local workers. And there's research supporting the concern that immigration can hurt black workers in specific markets. There was a research paper that came out in 2006 by the National Bureau of Economic Research. It found a 10% of immigrant that found that a 10% immigrant-induced increase in a particular skill group reduced black wages by 4%. And it lowered black employment by 3.5%. and it increased Black institutionalization by almost 4%. In other words, we go to jail more when more immigrants show up. Think about that. Direct effect on us. And the later version of that work found similar concerns about wages and employment among Black men specifically. Now, of course, you know, these are issues that we deal with. And so that's the resentment, that's the animosity, that's the unspoken fracture. And it's been building for years, not just online, but in real life. Where do you think it came from? People go online to voice their what's going on in their real life, their feelings they're dealing with in real life. FBAs have watched Black immigrants benefit from civil rights infrastructure that FBAs built, while those same immigrants distance themselves from Black America socially, culturally, and politically. And they watch people come in the United States and claim Blackness like Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, right? Shout out to Star Dreaming. You see? They claim Blackness when it opens doors, but they retreat into national identity when Black American struggle is being discussed. And they've watched that they've watched the category Black become useful for everyone except the people whose ancestors made the category politically powerful in America. There's also a cultural effect. Black immigrants come here with strong national culture. Shout out to Myron Magnus, which they have every right to have. You have a right to preserve your culture. Haitians have a right for Haitian culture. Jamaicans have a right for Jamaican culture. Nigerians have a right to Nigerian culture. Ghanaians have a right to Ghanaian culture. Everybody. But the conflict begins when those groups arrive inside of Black American spaces and act as though their culture is superior to foundational Black America. We do not want jollof rice at Essence Festival. Okay? We do not want to celebrate traditional African customs at Juneteenth. You understand that? Just like you don't want us to come over to your country and bring collard greens and pig feet to the zebra march parade or something like that. I don't know. Okay? And see, when people come here and look down on Black American speech and Black American food and Black American family structures, Black American neighborhoods, Black American religious practices, Black American politics, Black American history, they create the very distance that later leaves them without our protection. You can't come to another people's historical homeland, benefit from protections they created, ridicule their culture, then demand that they spend political capital to defend you when the state comes down on you. Somebody type, "We're resting" in the chat room. Everybody in the chat room type, "We're resting." And that's why. But bottom line is that's why the cultural question matters. Foundational Black American culture is not inferior. It has some issues, but it's not broken. It's not a broken version of African culture. It was created under pressure. That's what gave rise to the spirituals and the blues and the gospel and the jazz and the hip hop, to show our humanity. The Black church tradition, Black legal activism and Black military service, Black food ways, the way we cook, what we eat, Black humor even, how we speak. Even our Black fraternities and sororities create networks so we can link up with each other. That's how we stay connected. Black colleges, the Black barbershop, the Black beauty shop. Y'all think y'all was the first Black people to braid hair, Black hair in this country? I see all these African beauty. I didn't even know that was a thing until a couple of years back. Even the way we resist politically is meaningful. But it was that very same culture that helped democratize the United States so you all could come here in the first place. So when immigrants arrive and treated like something to be corrected or replaced or looked down on, then they shouldn't be surprised when foundational Black Americans say, you know what, you aren't part of us just because the census puts us in the same box as Black. Y'all can go on about y'all business. And now you have a situation, you have Haitians now need mass Black American mobilization because y'all about to go back to Haiti and get barbecued and raped and kidnapped. And we got to sit up here and watch y'all get handcuffed and thrown in the back of the truck. And it's going to be some white folk and other people laughing. See, look at them Black. We're going to say, well, they not FBA. They're going to say, but still doesn't matter. More points on the board for us. We're getting rid of it, right? We got to deal with it. It's going to be some back and forth, right? But they wouldn't listen. You see? So now you need Black Americans to mobilize. And the question many foundational Black Americans are quietly asking, what exactly is a reciprocal obligation? Y'all don't even like us. How have Haitians as a group advanced the specific political position of foundational Black Americans? I'm not talking about your friend. I'm not talking about your girlfriend, your homie from college. I'm not talking about that. How have they strengthened the reparations claim? Because when I look up, I get a lot of them saying that we don't deserve reparations. That's what I see. Many immigrants say that. How have they protected foundational Black American institutions? How have they defended the distinction between lineage-based Black Americans and voluntary Black immigrants? How have they helped preserve opportunities intended to repair the damage done to enslaved foundational Black Americans and our descendants in the United States? See, that doesn't mean there are no personal relationships. I'm not saying that. I know you have friends, you got marriages, you have alliances. I'm not talking about that. I'm sure it's Haitian people that you love. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. And don't confuse that with group politics. On this page, what I'm talking about is not my personal relationships or friendships or people I've come across, even some of my followers. I'm talking about group to group politics. What have you done for us as a group? What has your group done for our group? You see? Again, group politics doesn't operate on sentimental exceptions. Group politics asks what one group has done for another on scale. So the brutal question is, how do foundational Black Americans benefit as a group from Haitians remaining in the United States? What do we get out of it? Why should we mobilize? And see, that's the question most people are too afraid to ask out loud. Now, how does an employer benefit? Not how does a hospital benefit? Not how does a nursing home or restaurant or a local economy benefit, or how does a politician? That's not what we're asking. The question is, how do foundational Black Americans as a collective benefit? How does it help us that you remain here? Because you haven't demonstrated you want to do anything with us. You don't even like us. You haven't helped us build power. You haven't helped us secure reparations. You haven't helped us protect our institutions, increase ownership, reduce poverty. You haven't helped improve our schools. You haven't helped us gain political leverage. Look to most of us like all you did was come use us. See? That's what it looks like. Now, I get it. Some of you all would say, well, the pro-immigration position is, well, Haitians, TPS holders help contribute to the economy. That might be true. Okay? That might be true. According to my research, as of January 2026, Haitian TPS holders generate $5.9 billion annual for the United States, for the U.S. economy, and they pay about $800,000 in federal taxes. Great. That's great for the United States government. But the foundational Black American response is contribution to the general U.S. economy is not the same as contributing to foundation of Black American political power. You understand the difference? Big difference. A worker can help a nursing home help and help a tax base without advancing the specific historical claims of FBA Americans. That's a distinction. The question isn't whether Haitians work. They do. Okay? The question isn't whether Haitians, whether Haiti is dangerous. It is. The question is whether foundational Black Americans are obligated to spend political capital defending a group that at scale has not clearly merged in the FBA political project, hasn't clearly defended FBA lineage claims, hasn't often maintained national separation, but actually have maintained, you got your flags out, so you've maintained a national separation from us, okay? All the while using this broad blackness whenever it provides access for you. So you're just using us. And see that what have you done for us lately? You see? And when you begin to contemplate that, you could understand the silence. Because see, here's what's going on. Black folk, Black Americans are tired. We're tired of being treated like an emergency moral infantry for every Black population in crisis. You only call us when you need us. You see? And in the meantime, our claims are diluted or mocked or replaced by some broader multicultural language. We're tired of being told to show up because we're Black. We all Black. On top of that, you got a bunch of people saying stuff like FBA is not real. You don't have a lineage. Y'all can whip y'all flags out, but we can't have our own identity. Jamaicans have an identity. Nigerians have an identity. People from the Congo, Somalia, Ethiopia, all y'all have an identity, but we can't have one. Something wrong with that. We're tired of being asked to defend people who may not identify with us until federal power comes knocking at the door. And that's why this moment is revealing. See, this isn't just an immigration story. It's a Black political realignment story. Haitians are going to soon discover what America is really about. You're going to learn that the only Black population with enough historical infrastructure and moral authority and institutional power to do anything about what's going on with you all is us. That's it. We're the ones with the institutional memory. We're the ones with the domestic political claim. Shout out to Marcus. We're the only ones that can stand between you and the state. But because of years of distance and resentment, and y'all talking slick, somebody type talking slick, and competition and no reciprocity, many foundational Black Americans are simply like, nah, we're not about to move for you. We're going to watch. We may sympathize in privately. I'm going to sympathize. I don't want to see Black bodies in handcuffs. I hate it for you. I'm going to feel real bad. But you don't have enough foundational Black Americans that want to organize for you and march. They're not going to put their body, Black Americans are not going to put their bodies online for Haitian communities and put ourselves between ICE and you. We ain't trying to get sent to Port-au-Prince, okay? We're not. All right? And you all have not given us a reason to do that. They're not going to spend political capital and money to save a group of people that never fully merged in with us in the first place. And y'all been talking stuff. That's the hard truth. That's what happens when you're a bad guest. And I know it sounds cold. I laid out the facts. It is cold-blooded. But it isn't random coldness. It's coldness produced by political exhaustion. It's coldness produced by being asked to carry everyone else's racial burden while no one carries ours. It's the coldness produced by watching your own lineage-based claim be blurred into a generic black immigrant category that benefits everyone and repairs almost nothing for the people whose ancestors were enslaved here. So when the raids come, you might type ICE in the chat room. If they come, the cameras may show black people in handcuffs. The world is going to see black America. The world may see people suffering. You see? Black Americans see blackness. We see it. We know that Haitians are black. We know the Haitians' great history. We know the danger that you're going to deal with when you get back to Haiti. They know the suffering that you're going to deal with. We know what it's like to see black mothers and black fathers and black workers and black children get thrown into a government machine. But we also know the difference between shared skin and shared political destiny. And the difference may determine whether Haitian TPS becomes national black American cause or an immigrant crisis. The foundation of black Americans watch from a distance. Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to read these super chats. I got some more to say. But I want to shout out to all the real MVPs out here who contribute to the super chat. Thank you so much. I hope y'all learned something. Remember, you don't owe me anything if you didn't learn anything. If you learn, I should earn. And I got some more learning for you, but I want to take the opportunity to read these super chats. Remember, if you've been involved in a car accident, let me put this across the top of the screen. I don't think this is prevalent enough. Let me go ahead and run this. I don't think y'all can. You see this? I got a brand new number for you all. Okay, I got this brand new. You see that just merge across the top? That was pretty cool, huh? That says 1866 Law Big. Somebody type Law Big in the chat room. Toll free. Okay, toll free, just for you all. That way, if you anywhere in America, you can give me a call. Anywhere in America, 1-866 Law Big. That's pretty good. Huh? 866, that's pretty fancy. Injured in a car wreck, call me. I'm legit. Injured in a car wreck, call me 1-866 Law Big. That's pretty good, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and read these super chats. Shout out to all you beautiful people. Y'all like that? Somebody, y'all like that? Law, because I'm big and I'm in the law. You know what I'm saying? I put that together myself. Y'all like that? Law big. Y'all, I know you like that. Shout out to me. Shout out to me. Yup, I'm doing it. I'm doing it big. But anyway, let's go ahead and shout out to my man Fuquan. Thank you so much again. He came back with the 5 on it. Fresh always 2x199. Thank you. Great work. Thank you so much. Myron Magnus, voodoo doesn't seem to be working that well right now, does it? Well, y'all cold-blooded. Stop leading people religion alone. But anyway, thank you, Myron. TPS, Tether Public Services. Myron, you ugly, brother. You ugly. You real ugly for that. You ugly. Shout out to Lisa Will for 5941. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Fuquan came back with a 5. Another 5. Thank you so much, fam. Zachman said, I had a Haitian woman wanted to get married to me so she could stay. I said no, even though she had a big, you know what, where the sun don't shine. Damn, bro, you might want to leave that alone. She might have had an elf come out of there. You had a whole elf come out of there. That big, golly. I don't want to talk. Hold on a minute, sir. This is not that type of show. We ain't talking about big cavernous orifices down. Sir, let me move on. Praise God. Anyway, Florida 5592. Thankfully, they can take this 15-year U.S. internship home to their country, wave their flag, make Haiti great again. You know what? There's some Florida people that are very angry at Haitians. Why are you Florida people so angry at the Haitian people? What did they do to y'all? You Black Americans in Florida. What is going on down there that got y'all? Every person from Florida, it says some stuff about the Haitian people, man. What is up? But anyway, Atumara 6546 said the Pan-Africans and African diaspora got the boy. You something else. You said just send them to Ghana, huh? Thank you so much. Black Sand said, I'm waiting for the birthright citizenship rule. Fam, I was just thinking about that today. And if it goes on ideological lines like that, it's going to be rough on a lot of people. But thank you so much. Tech King 9343, good looking out. Thank you for the 199. Black Sand, it's boring, but the information is key for us. I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying to look, just so you guys can know some of my secrets. I try to speak to you all. On an 8th or 9th grade language level so that the information gets conveyed. Unfortunately, some of this stuff is so complicated. It literally takes me time to kind of, sort things out. And, I have to kind of make things so people can understand. But the main thing about the language is the ability to communicate information. So if I'm doing a good job, hopefully it's not boring. That's my thing. I don't want it to be boring. I want it to be exciting. I wanted you all to really visualize the Supreme Court going at it with each other. All these old people with robes on, Mortal Kombat, lawyer Mortal Kombat. That's what I try to do. And so I do my best. But thank you so much, Black Sand. Always appreciate your patronage. Fuquan, thank you for the $5. Did y'all learn something? Did the case make sense now? Did the case that I read make sense? The TPS case, the Constitution doesn't give citizenship births of temporary people. Thank you so much. We'll see what happens. If we were being deported, what would everyone do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They wouldn't do a thing. And that's a great point. Atumara said, me no black, me Haitian. Welcome back to Haiti. Thank you so much. Also, Black, what is in it for FBA people? No more free rides. Good shot. Good point. That's how the people feel. Fuquan, thank you so much for the $5. Also, Star Dreaming, $4.99. Myron Magnus, our past great elder and labor leader, A. Philip Randolph, was saying all this in the 1960s. A lot of them were saying that, man. Thank you so much. Stream, Star Dream. What was the plan under TPS? Was there a time frame? Was there an agreement with the government? What measure were taken to stabilize their country? It's not our job to stabilize their country, but I'm not sure what the plan was, but whatever it was, it didn't work. Frederick Douglass to Barbara Jordan Warner, immigration is a nail in the coffin for FBA. They sure did. They sure did, brother. Also, Melvinia McDonald, thank you for the $10. Thank you, babe. Appreciate you. And also, please talk about 70% of Haitians on welfare and give free health care and housing. Thank you for your great content. See, here's the thing. They contribute to the economy, but they also take from the economy. Not all of them are productive. You see? You have a certain percentage of people who not really, you taking as much as you giving, you see, and that's going to be a problem. And that's what a lot of people are saying. But thank you so much for that very observant post. Black Rose, thank you for the $1.99. Also, my man, CJ Marsh, good seeing you, family. Sorry I came in late, bro. You always on time, brother. Always good to see you. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I want to go ahead and wrap this thing up. And if you guys will bear with me for a minute, I have a few more things to say. Closing statement. Here's a lesson, because that's really what this is about. All right. If Haitians wanted Black American protection in 2026, especially after this Supreme Court ruling, the Mullen v. Doe that I read, that cleared the way for Trump to terminate TPS, they should have had understood Black American history before they needed Black American power. You see, they should have studied who we are. They should have learned how this country really works. They should have understood that Black Americans aren't just another Black ethnic group living in the United States. We're not immigrants. We're not guests. We aren't recent additions to the American story. We're Americans in the deepest historical sense. We're here before the United States Constitution was ratified in 1788. We were here before the White House was completed in 1800. Matter of fact, we built the White House. Our labor did that. Benjamin Banneker laid out Washington, D.C., how it would be constructed. We were here before the United States had fully developed a national institution people now take for granted. We were here in the colonial period, in the fields, in the ports, in the military, in the churches, in the courts, in the cemeteries, and on the battlefields. And if Haitians or any other Black immigrant group wanted the full protection of the foundation of Black America, they should have come here with humility instead of all this contempt. They should have believed the hype. They should have repeated the stereotype. They shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have come into a foreign land and mocked the people who already survived that land. They shouldn't have called Black Americans lazy. They shouldn't have called us uncultured. They definitely shouldn't have called us dirty or broken or backward or inferior. They shouldn't have separated themselves socially, culturally, and politically from Black Americans, and then turn around and expect Black Americans to appear on command when the federal government turned on them. And that's not how group politics works. That's not how historical trust works. That's not how protection works. The first thing they should have done was research the people they were walking among. Because see, they didn't move to Utah. They moved to South Florida. They didn't move to Minnesota. Well, they didn't move to Montana. They moved to New York City. That they walked on, they wanted to walk amongst us. They knew it was safe. But see, if they had done that, they would have discovered something extraordinary. Foundational Black Americans are the minority group in this country with the clearest and most successful centuries-long record of forcing the United States to live up to its own stated ideals. The people who push and pushed the American moral needle toward freedom, equality, due process, voting, civil rights, desegregation, labor protection, public accommodations, and constitutional accountability were foundational Black Americans. That's not arrogance. That's just history. We can start with Frederick Douglass, who was born into slavery in February 1818 in Maryland. He escaped slavery in 1838, 20 years old, after he had a fight with his master. Beat him up, ran away. He's one of the most powerful political voices in the 19th century. Frederick Douglass didn't beg America to become something foreign. He demanded that America live up to the principles it already wrote down in its founding documents. And in his July 5th, 1852 speech, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" Douglass exposed the contradictions between American liberty and American slavery. That was genius. That was the genius of a Black American advocate. We didn't merely condemn America from the outside. We forced America to confront itself from the inside. We can go back to Harriet Tubman. She was born enslaved in 1822 in Maryland, escaped slavery in 1849, then returned repeatedly through the 1850s to help other Black people who were enslaved escape through what was called the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman didn't have a foundation, a corporate sponsor, or a social media campaign, or a safe public platform. She couldn't catch an Uber. But what she did have was courage. She had discipline. She had faith. Did you know that during the Civil War, which lasted between 1861 and 1865, this Black woman, Harriet Tubman, was a Union scout and a nurse and a spy? She would sneak behind the lines and help the Union. Shout out to Edward Stevens. I mean, she was actively in the fight. In 1863, she helped guide what was called the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina, an operation that freed hundreds of black people that were enslaved. That's Black American moral action. That's not theory. That's not slogan. That's not borrowed revolutionary language. That's that action. And you can go even back further to the founding era. Crispus Attucks, a man of African and Native American ancestry, was killed on March 5th, 1770 during the Boston Massacre. This man is remembered as the first person to die in that conflict that led to the American Revolution. That was a black man, a very American black man. Then you have another, Prince Hall, born in 1735 and active in Boston during the Revolutionary period. He became a major black abolitionist and organizer. A black woman, Phyllis Wheatley, was born in 1753 and brought to Boston as an enslaved child. She published poems of various subjects and religious and moral. In 1773, becoming one of the first published black poets in America and directly challenging the lie of black intellectual inferiority. These people weren't immigrants wandering into an already finished America. They were present while America was being formed. We've been here. Somebody type "been here." And here's another one you probably never heard. Peter Salem. Do you all know what he is? Were you here for that lecture? When I talk about America's black founding fathers, Peter Salem, born in 1750 in Massachusetts, fought at Lexington and Concord on April 19, 1775, and later fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill on June 17, 1775. Salem Poor, born 1747, also fought at Bunker Hill, and these men did some amazing things. Peter Salem is credited with killing the general on the other side for the British, which basically helped bring the war to an end, helped win that battle. And Salem Poor, as I said, born around 1747, he also fought at Bunker Hill, and on June 1777, he was praised by multiple white officers. They made a big deal about how well he fought. And in December 1775, they literally got together and they signed a petition for his bravery, with those officers saying he behaved like an experienced officer and an excellent soldier. That was revolutionary for that type of time period. This is what we've been doing. Said we've been here. Somebody type "been here." We've been here. Another man, Cuff Whitmore, born in 1759, he stood with Massachusetts militia forces at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill in 1775. This is another black man fighting in the Revolutionary War. You understand me? Right there in Lexington, as we come up on our 250-year anniversary of the founding of this country. Black men were right there. Black women were right there. There's another one, Basilia Liu, born in 1743. He served as a fighter and a soldier during the Revolutionary War and fought at Bunker Hill. Let me explain what that means. That means he was out there playing and fighting at and they're always targeting them. They were shooting at him while he was playing his little flute. And he had to play it because this is how a battlefield is busy and loud. So you play that FIFA so that the troops know where to move. You know how brave you got to be. You are literally you're the communications. Okay, and that's the first part. They want to shoot the big guns and the communication, and so he was always a target. This is one of the most dangerous communication roles of the 18th century battlefield. These men were not symbolic decorations. They were not digging ditches and tending horses. They were out on the battlefield. They were armed participants in the birth of this country. And then you got Prince Whipple, born in 1750 in West Africa, brought here as a slave to New Hampshire. He served in the Revolutionary period alongside William Whipple, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. He's traditionally associated with the image of a black man in Emmanuel Lute's 1851 with Washington crossing the Delaware. You know that famous picture? It's a black man in there with him. It depicts George Washington's December either 25th or Christmas Day crossing before the Battle of Trenton. The British never saw him coming. You understand? Black men were present in the revolutionary struggle, including at moments that later became symbols of American courage and risk and national pride. This is us. Y'all want to hear some more? As I wrap this thing up, James Armstrong Lafayette, born in 1748 or 1760. You know, they didn't keep records for us like that. In Virginia, this man risked execution during the Revolutionary War. This man was a double spy. Reported directly to George Washington. He gained the trust of the British forces under Benedict Arnold and Charles Cornwallis, and he secretly provided information to the American side. And his work was instrumental in help American and French forces trap Cornwallis at Yorktown during the siege of Yorktown, which lasted from September 28, 1781 to October 19, 1781. This man was throwing all sorts of misinformation. He had to have some good game. Yeah, look, man, you know, I'm on your side, baby. I'm trying to go hang out with you in England once this war is over. You see? And the thing is, the reason why this was so important is because James Armstead Lafayette, he was basically giving bad information to Cornwallis, and it was Cornwallis's surrender at Yorktown that effectively broke Britain. They couldn't continue the war in North America. So it was this black man, James Armstrong Lafayette, this crucial role. He was still enslaved after risking his life for American cause and didn't even receive his freedom until 1787. And see, that's not a side story. That's the foundational Black American for. We gave it all. We gave all we had, even under the worst circumstances. We always put America first. This ain't new for us. We've always put America first. Even when we were enslaved, we fought and put America first. That's why no white man, no immigrant, no black immigrant, no Asian, nobody can tell us we are not American. We are the original set of Americans. Another man, Wentworth Cheswell, born on April 11, 1746 in New Hampshire. He was elected town constable. You understand what I'm saying? A black man. That was a big deal to be the constable. You was the law. You understand? This is before the United States even declared independence on July 4th, 1776. He went on to serve in the local public office for decades. I think he was a judge, a justice of the peace. He carried messages during the Revolutionary crisis. Think about that. You had a black man who was a judge in 1776. Think about that. And the police. He was the popo. Come in there and break you with your wife fighting up. We go send the constable down there. Another man, Lemuel Haynes, born July 18, 1773 in Connecticut. He served in the Revolutionary War. He became the first black man ordained in a mainstream Protestant denomination in 1780. He pastored to predominantly white congregations. He received an honorary Master's of Arts degree from Millbury College in 1804. Think about that. This is what we were doing. Somebody type "been here." Around 1776, Lemuel Haynes wrote "Liberty Further Extended," applying the logic of the American Revolution to Black liberty and exposing the contradiction of slavery in a nation claiming freedom. So this man was a revolutionist. This 1776, we just got our freedom. He said, "Oh, but by the way, let's check out this liberty further extended." This is what he was talking about in his church filled up with white folk. And what this does is this proves that these men proved that Black Americans weren't standing outside the foundation. We were inside, founding and shaping its policies, and its battlefields, and its moral language, and its civic life, and its contradictions early. These aren't side characters we talking about. These are American founders in the real sense of the word. Black men. They fought, they preached, they warned, they organized, they spied, they voted, they served, they built, they suffered while this country was still becoming a country. That's why Black Americans are different. That's why we call ourselves foundational Black Americans. This ain't no damn MAGA thing. This is our true name. We are here at the foundation. That's why we are foundational Black Americans. We're not some racial category. We're a historical people. We are a national people. We are a lineage group formed through slavery, war, Reconstruction from 1865 to 1877, Jim Crow from the late 19th century through the mid 20th century, the Great Migration from roughly 1916 to 1970, redlining after the 1930s, segregation, mass incarceration, civil rights movement of the 1950s and the 1960s. We aren't Africans in America. We aren't Caribbeans in America. We aren't immigrants who arrived under the modern immigration law. We are a distinct people forged here, and our roots run deep enough that no deportation policy, no white nationalist fantasy, no immigrant insult, no academic sleight of hand can uproot us. Now, let's talk about how Black Americans actually move forward. We did it by maintaining the moral high ground. We did it by telling the truth. Somebody typed the truth in the chat room. We did it by refusing to base our claims on lies, exaggerations, or fashionable anti-American rhetoric. The strongest Black American tradition was not built on hating America. It was built on forcing America to become more American. That's the distinction between, that's the distinction people miss. See, Frederick Douglass challenged America by quoting America. Harriet Tubman challenged America by acting on freedom when the law defended slavery. Lemuel Hayes challenged America by applying its own revolutionary principles consistently. Black soldiers, Jesus, shout out to the Black soldiers and Navy and Marine, shout out to y'all. The Black soldiers, so instrumental to our fight for freedom. They challenged America by wearing the uniform, fighting in its wars, and then returning home and demanding rights they had earned in blood. Black Americans served in the American Revolution from 1775 to 1783, at the height of slavery. We served in the War 1812. From 1812 to 1850, when the British was coming back, we fought them. The Civil War from 1861 to 1865, this is our fight. We in it. World War I, 1914 to 1918, we still dealing with civil unrest at home. We getting treated horrible like second-class citizens at home, but we still put that aside to continue fight for America's interests. World War II, from 1939 to 1945, the world was at war. Fascism was marching across Europe. Had we lost that war, the whole world would look totally different. The Korean War, from 1950 to 1953, to stop the spread of communism. The Vietnam War, from 1955 to 1975, further to stop the spread of communism. Hell, every major conflict since then. Our Black soldiers have, and their families who supported them, have proven patriotism under conditions where patriotism costs us more than it costs almost everybody else. We fought for our country. A country that didn't always fight for us. We wore the uniform of a country that often denied us full protections of its laws. We came home from these wars where we fought for freedom, and still had to fight segregation, lynching, discrimination, and systematic exclusion. That's not weakness. That is earned patriotism. Black parents challenged America by sending their children into these hostile schools during the segregation battle. Brown versus the Board of Education was decided on May 17, 1954, and black students sat at lunch counters doing sit-in and movements and that began primarily in Greensboro, North Carolina on February 1st, 1860. Black freedom riders boarded buses during freedom rides and went down to dangerous places like Alabama and Mississippi, risked their lives. Black marchers faced police violence during the Birmingham campaign in 1963. Somebody type, "We've been here." Black Americans gathered for the March on Washington on August 28, 1963. You got to understand something. There wasn't no immigrants here then. America was 9% black. There was only 50,000 Africans in this country. Caribbeans were non-existent. The rest of America, the Latino population was less than 1%. The Asian population was less than 1/10 of 1%. It was just us and white folks. We did this all on our own. When you look in those pictures, the reason no other immigrants are there because they wasn't there. It was black citizens that marched on Selma, Montgomery in Alabama in March 1965 and faced state violence on Bloody Sunday. And out of that discipline pressure came the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Hart-Celler Act, which banned racial discrimination when it came to immigration. That's how all them immigrants started coming here in the first place. But for us in that battle, they wouldn't be here. That's how we won. But not by chaos. Not by empty rage. We won by exposing the gap between America's promise and America's practice. My grandma told me all the time, my mother picked cotton in Mississippi until they moved to California. I was born in 1974. My mama moved to California in 1968. She picked cotton until she was 14. But my great-great-great-grandfather was a black man from Mississippi. George Washington Jones Jr., Sr., he's a lawyer himself. Nicodemus, Kansas. We've been here. I got the slave bill of sale where the white man bought my grandmother's side of the family. We've been here. And we won by exposing the gap between America's promise and America's practice. We didn't win by being tribal. Like some of these other immigrants, when they come here, they whip their flag out. We didn't win like that. We didn't win by importing foreign ideological rage and calling it sophistication. We won because we stood on truth, sacrifice, law, patriotism, faith, discipline, and moral pressure. We made America uncomfortable because we were right. We made America change because we forced the nation to confront what it claimed to believe. That's the Black American formula. And understand this too. Black Americans aren't a monolith, and we never have been. We got Black Republicans. We have Black Democrats. We have Black conservatives. We have Black liberals. We have Black Christians, Black Muslims, Black atheists, Black professionals, Black working class people, Black rich people, Black poor people, Black Southerners, Black Northerners, Black Westerners. We got Pittsburgh fans. We got Dallas Cowboy fans, Black. We got Black men and Black women across every shade of the color spectrum. Every church, Episcopal, Southern Baptist, whatever class level, what ideological makeup you have. But when the core racial question comes, we know how to come together. We argue in the house. We might fight amongst ourselves. We may disagree violently on politics, but when the question is whether Black Americans belong here, whether our rights matter, whether our history is real, whether our suffering counts, and whether our contribution will be erased, we know how to close ranks. And that's what you other groups often fail to understand. Black American unity isn't based on everyone thinking the same way. It's based on shared historical memory. It's based on the knowledge that America saw all of us as Black before it cared whether we were rich, poor, Christian, Muslim, Republican, Democrat, educated, uneducated, light-skinned, dark-skinned, polished, or poor. And that's why we learn to move horizontally. That's why status doesn't remove you from the group. That's why the doctor, the lawyer, the preacher, the rapper, the mechanic, the barber, the school teacher, and the cousin who was falling on hard times can still sit at Big Mama's table and understand the same warning. No matter how far you go in this country, you still Black. And that's also why service and patriotism mattered so much in Black American history. That's why you have that photograph of your uncle or your daddy or your granddaddy sitting up on the mantle in his Army uniform or his Marine Corps uniform or his Air Force uniform. See, before this recent flood of these shallow Marxist and anti-American language entered into the bloodstream of Black American politics, Black Americans had a deep patriotic tradition, not blind patriotism, not naive patriotism, not flag-waving stupidity, but earned patriotism. We fought for this country while this country mistreated us. We served in its wars. We built its wealth. We shaped its music. We expanded its democracy. We cultivated its culture. We cleaned its contradictions. We held the mirror up to its face and demanded that it become worthy of its own flag. And that's why even the hardest stone cold white nationalist racists who talk loose about sending people home know deep down inside that Black Americans ain't going nowhere. They may hate us. They may resent us. They may wish history looked different now, but they know we are part of the foundation. They know they can't tell they can't tell us the story of America honestly without talking about us. And they know our claim isn't based on paperwork from some modern immigration court. It's based on blood and soil and labor and war and culture and suffering and contribution. And that's why Black Americans will always have a place here in the United States of America. We proved ourselves over and over again. Whether we talk about the Boston Massacre, whether we talk about the fight at Lexington and Concord, whether we talk about Bunker Hill, whether we talk about Trenton and Washington's crossing of the Delaware River, Yorktown, the Civil War, World War II, World War III, whether we talk about lunch counters in 1960s, Birmingham in 1963, the March on Washington in 1963, the Edmund Pettus Bridge on March 7, 1965, we proved ourselves by surviving what was designed to destroy us and then using our survival to expand freedom for everybody else. So when Haitians come over here and look down on Black Americans, calling us dirty Black Americans, that's not just disrespectful. It was strategically foolish. The very people they mock are the people whose struggle made their American life possible in the first place. The civil rights framework they benefit from wasn't built by Haitian immigrants. The voting rights infrastructure wasn't built by Haitian immigrants. The anti-discrimination law wasn't built by Haitian immigrants. The moral vocabulary of race in America wasn't built by Haitian immigrants. It was built by Black Americans. It was paid for in blood by Black American suffering. So, if they wanted protection, the path was obvious. They should have just joined us honestly. They should have said, we're Haitian, but we respect that this is your historical homeland. We understand that you are the foundational Black people of this country. We understand that your struggle created the legal and moral space we now occupy. We understand that we come here, benefit from your infrastructure, take advantage of Black designated opportunities, separate ourselves from you socially, insult you culturally, and then demand your political protection when the state comes for us. No. Can't do that. Can't do that. They should have built relationships before this crisis. They should have defended Black Americans when no one was asking them to do so. They should have supported reparations. They should have respected FBA lineage. They should have taught their children not to look down on Black Americans, or at least keep their mouths shut if they did. They should have eaten with us. They should have worshiped with us. They should have built with us. They should have invested with us. They should have married into us for genuine love or respect. But more importantly, they should have defended us publicly. In short, what I'm saying is they should have become part of Black American political family and become so indistinguishable they couldn't be distinguished from other Black Americans in the family. And then they would have had our protection. But they didn't do that. They chose their national identity first. They chose Haitian identity first, immigrant first, Caribbean first, anything but Black American. And again, they had every right to do that. But see, here's the thing that I've learned at this big old age. Choices have consequences. If you insist on separating when things are good, you may find yourself alone when things become bad. And that's the lesson. And the lesson isn't just for Haitians. It's for each and every one of you immigrant groups that come to this country and think Black Americans are just another minority group to be compared or mocked or bypassed or copied or used. Understand this clearly as I wrap this thing up. Are y'all with me? Let me know. I'm almost finished. I'm gonna let y'all go in a minute. Y'all with me? Huh? I got one more thing to say to them. Okay, because I need to drive this point home. Because we gonna feel bad when we start seeing these people get locked up. But y'all with me? Let me know if you're still with me. If you're with me, say hallelujah. They need to understand this clearly. FBA aren't just one community amongst many. We are one of the central pillars of the United States. Our story isn't adjacent to America. See, our story is America. Don't be fooled. We aren't visitors. We certainly are not refugees. We are not conditional residents. We aren't people hoping America lets us stay. We're Americans. We are Americans. Surprise. We're here at the foundation, and that's what separates us from Haitians, Caribbeans, Africans, and each and every one of all y'all who came much later. You may be Black. We may share African ancestry. We share the wounds of colonialism and slavery and the broader transatlantic slave trade. Okay, but you don't share our specific American lineage. You don't share our exact legal history. You don't share our constitutional claim. You don't share our foundational relationship to this country. Our roots run deep. And on top of that, we are cultured Americans, 100% cultured Americans. Our food is American. Our music is American. Our speech is American. Our churches are American. Our humor is American as hell. Our grief is American. Our resistance is American. Our patriotism is American. Our fight is American. And fighting is one of the most American things you can do. And that's why we do it so well and so often. Shout out to my FBA people. And see, that's the irony. People think patriotism means silence. It does not. That's not what it means. Patriotism means you fight for the country to become what it claims to be. And Black Americans understand that better than anybody, don't we? We fought America because we believed America's own stated ideals were powerful enough to condemn America's own failures. And that's why our struggle changed the nation. We didn't ask to be imported into the American dream. We forced the American dream to expand because we're already inside the house. So here's the final word. If you come to America and you're Black, you need to know who Black Americans are before you speak on us. You need to know whose shoulders you're standing on. You need to know who built the civil rights bridge you walked your behind across to get here. And you need to know who made America legally and morally vulnerable to your claims of equity in the first place. You need to know who bled to make minority rights mean something in this country. And if you don't know that, don't be surprised when crisis comes and the very same people you disrespected don't come run and save you. Black American protection isn't automatic. It's earned through respect, reciprocity, truth, loyalty, and shared risk. And that's the hard lesson of this moment. And that's something that everybody watching needs to understand. This is Uncle D, as I always say at this time.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.